for a slower grind. It outscript. Yep, low APR is like a perfect opening whistle. It gets people moving fast, but the real win is still the total cost on the scoreboard. In a big opener, hype makes folks chase the headline, rate and overlook the fine print. Draw odds just softened a touch, but the price is still glued at 2021. This is all positioning, no panic. Mexico's ass depth is easing, yet that 70 wall remains the center back pairing you can't get through without a real catalyst. Draw ass depth just ticked higher again, so the market is still paying up for this could get sticky even with Mexico favored. Mexico remains capped under 70 until that sell wall gets lifted. Upside is like trying to score through a parked bus.
We've got a bit of signal wobble here, but the buzz is still crackling through Mexico City. This place is a pressure cooker waiting to blow. Less than 20 minutes to kick off, and you can feel 80,000 hearts revving like engines. That's it. Hold the line. We're right on the edge of liftoff here. Yes, kickoff's creeping closer, and the tension's thick enough to cut.
Mexico bid depth just slipped while the sell side thick. In Ed, same scoreline, but the crowd's a little less eager to pay up. South Africa's ass depth ballooning is classic long shot insurance pricing, and that'll 70 cap on Mexico still looks like the key resistance. Guys.
Day one means the fuse is lit, opening ceremony packed stands, and that first whistle about to drop like a curtain rising. Mexico City's rocking, the air's clean, and you can almost see the nerves and excitement bouncing off the pitch.
We're still in a tight range, but the tape says def yes. NC first, Mexico's sell side stays heavy above, and buyers aren't stepping up with fresh depth. Draw liquidity is steady, like the market's bracing for a nervy opener where one mistake flips everything. Absolutely, when a shock hits, spreads widen and liquidity hides, so the first move is often emotion, not truth. It's like conceding early in a World Cup opener. The crowd panics, but the disciplined side sticks to shape and waits for the next clean touch.
Sounds like you're juggling a tight budget and still trying to stay in the match. Been there, my friend. And keep it simple. Lock down the essentials first, and don't let the noise pull you into a bad decision when the game's already tense. Oh, it's absolutely a party in here. Flags waving, drums thumping, and the crowd singing like one giant heartbeat. And this is the kind of atmosphere that makes players grow an extra lung and defenders forget their own names. It sounds like you're saying it's packed and buzzing. And yeah, it's a full-on pressure cooker out there. When it's this loud and tight, one clean touch or one bad bounce can flip the whole story in a heartbeat. Ah, you're talking heart. Give me that a little like, but better feeling, the kind that hits your chest. When the crowd roars, that's football at its best. Messy, beautiful, and somehow it makes sense even when the words don't.
Not much movement, but the micro tells the story. Mexico, as ask stack is still massive, so rallies keep getting sold into before zero. Draw stays pinned at 2021. Market's basically saying, we'll believe the breakout when we see it, not before.
Easy now, my friend. No need to Google up anything. When you've got us live in your ear. If you've got a point to make, hit me with it, because right now you're sounding like a striker trying a back heel in the rain.
Tiny tell here, draw bid depth firmed a bit while Mexico stays glued at a 68.69, so money's hedging the stalemate rather than chasing the favorite. That Euro 70 offer stack is still the goalkeeper, nothing gets past without a real surge of buys. Yeah, value is when the price is lagging the real odds, and hype is when everyone's already crowded into the same trade. It's like backing the flashy striker after he scored. Great story, but you're paying peak premium.
South Africa. Now there's a football heartbeat you can feel through the screen. From the vuvuzelas to the swagger, it's pure rhythm and grit, and you just know they'll fight for every second like it's the last. Africa's got flair and fire, my friend. Street football. Creativity mixed with warrior lungs. 1 minute it's silk on the ball, next minute it's a tackle that says, welcome to our house, and the crowd just lifts the whole team.
Mexico's bid depth just softened a touch while the ask wall stays thick, so upside still feels capped. Buyers are there, but they're not sprinting. Draw ticking up to 21% is that 0-0 at halftime. Hedge creeping in as the market waits for a catalyst.
If you mean the Central African Republic, they've got raw talent and pride, but it's a tough road with resources and exposure. Every cap feels like a statement. Tell me, are you asking about their national team or a player's career from there? Chia, are we talking a player's name, a club nickname, or a place? Give me one more clue and I'll call it like it's a last-minute winner, because right now the ball's bob. Bling in midfield. It could be anything on this pitch, my friend. Team, player, country, even a moment. Give me one word more and I'll hit it first time. Top corner, no hesitation. I'm catching Bosnia and Herzegovina and Qatar in there, but the rest sounds tangled like a scramble in the 6-yard box. Are you asking if Bosnia and Herzegovina have played Keter or something about government visas? Give me the clean pass and I'll finish it. Switzerland, oh, they've got that clockwork discipline. Don't they? Every run timed like a Swiss watch, but there's steel in them too. They'll press you, pinch it, and suddenly you're chasing shadows. Are you asking about their team, a match, or travel stuff? Ah, now you're seeing it. Football's a language, and sometimes the words come out like a deflected cross. Tell me what you want to know about Switzerland. Team form, a specific player, or a game you watched, and I'll jump on it.
Draw depth is inching higher, and Mexico's bid stack is sliding, but price won't budge. Classic stalemate. Tape. That row. 70 Mexico offer is still a brick wall, so until it gets chewed through, this market's playing keep ball, not counterattack.
Morocco. Now there's a team with flair and bite. They all dance past you and then snap into a tackle like a trapdoor. Scotland too, pure grit and thunder in the stands. Are you naming teams you're watching or asking who is playing who? Uruguay and Australia. Now that's a clash of styles. Or mate, Uruguay with that streetwise edge, Australia with lungs for days and no fear. Are you trying to say Uruguay versus Australia or just listing countries you're learning?
South Africa bid depth just took a hit. That's the under. Dog support thinning out, yet the price still sits 10-11, so nobody's panicking. Mexico remains range-bound under that row. 70 supply like a team dominating possession but not getting the shot off.
Turkey and Germany. Whew, that's a spicy one. The kind of matchup where the crowd noise feels like it's pushing the ball forward. And Alemania, yes, that's Germany in Spanish. Are you asking for country names in different languages? All right, we're cooking. Tell me the exact country and the language you want, and I'll fire them back like a quick 1-2 pass. Or if you've got a match in mind, give me the teams, and I'll call it like it's live. Ah, I hear you. Côte d'Ivoire, Costa de Marfil, that is Ivory Coast, and Ecuador is Ecuador in Spanish, too, just a different rhythm. And Netherlands, Países Bajos in Spanish. Give me the language you want next, and we'll keep it moving. Japan on Sweden. Oh, that's a chess match at sprint speed. Japan zipping it around and Sweden standing tall like a wall of granite. Are you saying Japan are beating Sweden right now? Or just asking the country names? Suia sounds like you mean Switzerland. Suisse in French, Svizzera in Italian, Schweiz in German. Which language are you aiming for? And what's the next country you've got?
Mexico bid depth just rebounded, and the top bid at 0.67 got fatter. Buyers are resetting the line of score image, but South Africa's ass depth ballooning is basically a bus parked in front of goal, so any upset narrative still looks like cheap talk.
Tunisia. There it is. Tunes in Spanish, Tunisi in French, and Tunisian in German. Which language do you want me to stick with from here? Belgium is Belgica in Spanish, and Egypt is Egypto. Sounds like you're building a whole World Cup bracket. Here, that last bit, a heap build. Are you trying to say alphabet or another country name? Islamic Republic of Iran. Most broadcasts just say Iran, and in Spanish it's Iran, in French Iran, in German Iran. That last line's a bit scrambled. Tell me the language you want and the exact phrase, and I'll clean it up fast. New Zealand, Nueva Zelanda in Spanish, Nouvelle Zealand in French, and New Zealand in German. Keep them coming. What language are we playing in today? You mean in Spanish? All right, New Zealand is Nueva Zelanda, Belgium, Belgica, Egypt, Egypto, Tunisia, Tunis, Switzerland, Suiza, and Iran, Iran. Next country, hit me.
Draw just got a little lift, bid ask stepping up to 1.2, so you're seeing a small game state hedge. Creep in. Mexico's still pinned under that euro. 70 sell wall, like pressure without the finish, and that keeps the favorite from running away on price. But
Cape Verde in Spanish is Cabo Verde. You've nailed it, even if you said it two ways. Saudi Arabia is Arabia Saudita. If that I is Iran, that's Iran. Keep firing them in rapid pace. I'm hearing Uruguay. Spanish is Uruguay. And France is Francia. That Sania sounds like you meant España for Spain. And SL could be Sierra Leone, which is Sierra Leone in Spanish. Confirm me and we're flying. Samiga, are you aiming for Senegal? In Spanish, that's Senegal. Clean and simple. Same. Spelling, different rhythm. Give me the next one and you're on a roll. Sending islands sounds like you mean the Solomon Islands. In Spanish, that's Isla Salomon. If you meant something else, tell me the English name, and I'll translate it on the spot. Iraq in Spanish is Iraq. Short, sharp, and it lands. Next one.
Now that's a real tell. Draw bid depth just jumped hard, and you've got a chunky buyer stepping in around 0.21. Market's pricing a tighter, grinded out match. Mexico bids are still healthy, but with that 0.70 supply overhead, it's like they're camped in the final third and still can't break the line.
All right, I'll ask it my way. Did you mean Egypt? But in Spanish, that's Egipto. And you've got Norway et in Norwega and Argentina il Argentina. Two absolute certainties. I'm guessing you mean Algeria. In Spanish, that's Argelia and Himna. Is that Ghana? In Spanish, it's Ghana. Tell me if I've nailed it. Canada in Spanish is Canada. India is India. And then Austria is Austria. Three names, three clean finishes, like a hat trick of easy translations.
Draw liquidity keeps piling in. Bid depth over $400 now. So traders are leaning into stalemate insurance without actually lifting the price through. Mexico's still stuck in that arrow. 68 narrow 69 pocket and until the zone. 70 wall cracks, momentum stays sideways.
All right, I've got you. Jordan il Jordania. Portugal, Ipao, Portugal. Democratic Republic of the Congo, Idal, República Democrática del Congo, and Republic of the Congo, Ilda República del Congo. And if you meant UAE, that's Emiratos Árabes Unidos. Oh, you want the big kickoff? Let's go. Tell me the country names you want in Spanish, and I'll fire them back fast one by one like a rapid counterattack. Colombia is Colombia. No U in Spanish either. A call word and Inlara don't ring clear for me. Did you mean Ecuador or Inglaterra? And Ghana, il Ghana, same spelling, while Fluasia might be Rosia. Confirm that one.
Draw sellers are thickening up. Ask depth just crept higher, so that 22 line is turning into a real ceiling. Mexico demand keeps inching up too, but until someone actually takes out Darrow. 70, it's all warm-up drills and no goals.
Panama stays Panama. Same name, just that sharp accent like a perfectly whipped cross. And the three host nations, you mean the 2026 trio? Canada, Mexico, y Estados Unidos. That's the big stage. AMO would call it a triple merger. World Cup 2026. Oh, it's coming like a thunderclap. It'll be in Canada, Mexico, and the United States. And it's the first one with 48 teams, so expect chaos, drama, and goals flying in from everywhere. Wow. I hear you. Just say the country name, and I'll put the Spanish version straight in, quick as a one-touch pass. If you want, type a list and I'll translate them all in one burst. Oh, it's been a scrap, hasn't it? Little battles everywhere. Like studs showing in midfield? Keep them coming. Drop the country names you mean, and I'll translate them clean in Spanish. No fuss and no confusion. Canada is Canada, and Granada is actually Ghana. In English, Ghana in Spanish too, same spelling. And the United States of America is Estados Unidos. The America, big name, even bigger presence.
Mexico bid depth just popped again, and that 70 sell wall actually thinned a bit. First sign that defense might be cracking. Draw is basically unchanged, so the market's still hedging the 0 for 70 minutes script while waiting for a real catalyst.
It is funny, isn't it? One tiny letter and suddenly you've got a whole different team on the pitch. Granada sounds like one in Spanish, but Ghana stays Ghana, and Canada gets that accent like a little flair move. Mexico in Spanish is Mexico, same name, just that accent on the E, like a neat little touch to keep it classy. And with 2026 there, you know the atmosphere's going to be absolutely electric.
That's the first meaningful shift. Mexico asked depth just dropped sharply, so the supply overhang is getting pulled. Classic seller stepping back move. Price hasn't jumped yet, but if bids keep leaning, 0.70 stops looking like a brick wall and more like a speed bump.
Go on then, say it, don't hesitate, hit it like a first. Time volley. Tell me the country or the phrase you want, and I'll put the Spanish version straight on the board. Oh, I love that. This is the kind of line that raises the hairs on your arms. Finish it for me. It's more than just a game. It's already a yes, and I'll snap it into Spanish with the same punch. And no matter what, hear me now. This is more than just a game. It's a heartbeat in the stands. In Spanish, you'd hit it like, y pase lo que pase. Esto es más que un juego.
Mexico supply keeps retreating, ass depth is sliding. Again, so the path of least resistance is finally up, even if the quote's still pinned at 68 or 0.69. Meanwhile, the draw book is steady, like the crowd's still hedging for extra time while Mexico tries to finish the move.
Sounds like you mean how I got shot and say in Spanish. That's como me dispararon en, or como me dieron un tiro en. Tell me what comes after in and where it happened, and I'll lock the full sentence in. Hold up, I've got you. Sounds like you're saying, don't keep it when the world is watching. I know. Everything has to be in Spanish. No lo ocultes cuando el mundo está mirando. Sé que todo tiene que ser. So tell me the exact last words and I'll finish it clean. Stand again. Oh, that's a rallying cry. That's a comeback. Line, in Spanish, levántate otra vez or ponte de pie otra vez, depending on the vibe. Oof, I feel what you're reaching for, like a big anthem. Line under pressure. You could say in Spanish, aguantaremos la presión en tu lugar, con la mirada en el cielo. Give me the exact ending after like and I'll make it flow.
Now we're talking. That Mexico 70 offer just got noticeably lighter, so the market is basically clearing the last defender in front of goal. If buyers show any urgency, you can get a quick pop through. 70, if not, it's another tease and a reset back into the range. Mexico still looks like the favorite, but it's a bit of a stalemate. Bids aren't stepping up, and that 70 supply is still a chunky backline. South Africa's ask depth is swelling, which screams, nobody wants this risk, so any upset would be a pure counterpunch.
It's like a dream. That's the feeling when the stadium lights hit and everything goes quiet for a second. In Spanish, es como un sueño. Tell me what you want after you, and I'll finish the lines clean.
Mexico's offer stack is still bleeding lower, so the sellers are backing off even if price hasn't sprint. And yet, this is that slow build before a breakout. South Africa's book is thinning on the ask side too, but it's still a long shot trade that only pays if chaos hits the pitch.
It is simple, sharp, no messing about. In Spanish, es, if you mean it is like a dream. That's es como un sueño. Will stand, yes. That's the kind of line you shout when the legs are heavy and the crowd's dragging you over the line. In Spanish, nos mantendremos firmes or nos haremos. We'll spare the pressure where you lay. Whoo, that's poetic, like shielding someone in the storm. In Spanish, te quitaremos la presión de encima allí donde yaces, or a smoother version, cargaremos con la presión por ti donde estés. Mind, bang, that's a punchy word, like a captain barking. Orders in the tunnel. If you mean mind as in remember, Spanish is mente or recuerda. If it's mind as in don't, it's cuidado.
Mexico 0. 70 wall is getting chipped away again, down to about 2.93 M, so the defense is tiring, but buyers still need to actually take the shot. South Africa ask depth just ballooned, which tells you the crowd's fading the upset hard.
There it is again, the heartbeat of the sentence. Is Spanish. S, give me the next word and we'll stitch it together like a perfect 1-2 pass. Oh, that's pure World Cup electricity. This isn't just football, it's a whole nation's pulse. If you're translating es más que un juego, ya lo es.
Fresh Mexico money just checked in around 69, another near 50K ticket, so sentiment's still leaning favorite and trying to force that break. But until someone actually lifts the 0-70 stack, it's like endless corners with no header. On target.
Huh, don't know about no, that's like a player second. Guessing the pass at the edge of the box. If you mean I don't know, it's no say, and I don't know about that is no sé sobre eso, or no estoy seguro de eso. The said, that's a tricky little phrase, like a deaf selection that changes everything. In Spanish, it's usually dicho, as in el dicho, or el mencionado for the aforementioned, depending on what you're pointing back to. This is not oof, that's a hard tackle of a sentence. Starter, Spanish, esto no es, or esta no es, depending on the noun. Give me what comes next and we'll finish it clean. Lie. Circuit, that's circuito in Spanish, nice and clean. Like a team keeping its shape. If you mean an electric circuit, circuito electrico. And if it's a racing circuit, circuito de carreras.
Little warning flag for Mexico, bid depth just softened, and that big wow. 67 line slipped, so the buyers are taking a breather. If the favorite can't reload quickly, you'll see price chop and the draw quietly pick up like a team, nicking possession in midfield. Yeah, that's a classic single point of failure red card. Assume it's real until proven otherwise and switch to a backup bridge fast. From an ops angle, move critical calls to phone dial. INs, teams, Zoom alternates, push async updates, and log timestamps for post-mortem and vendor credits. Now that's meaningful. Mexico 0. 70 sell wall just got hacked down to about 2. 4M in total asks collapsed. Someone's clearing the runway. If bids hold, that's momentum trade territory. You're like the favorite finally turning pressure into a clean breakaway. Totally. Treat it like a volatility spike. Acknowledge, give a clear next step, and set the next update time. So people don't panic trade the rumor mill. Keep it short, factual, and action-oriented. We're on backup bridge. Here's the link. Next update in 15. That earlier squeeze fizzled. Mexico asks popped right. Back up in the low. 70 wall rebuilt, so sellers are still parking the bus. Until that stack gets chewed through again, expect a tight range with the draw staying annoyingly sticky. Say.
I'm listening. Hit me with it. Nice and clear. Are you trying to translate I listen as yo escuch? Or do you mean I'm listening like estoy escuchando? Going depends on the play you're making. Yendo is the plane going, and voy is I'm going. If you mean going to, as in plans, it's voy of si tell me the full line and I'll stitch it together.
Big tell here is the draw bid depth just got clipped hard. Top bid size dropped, so that insurance trade is losing support. Mexico's still pinned under that 0.70 supply, but if the draw keeps thinning, the path of least resistance is a grind back toward the favorite. Now we've got a real shift. Mexico's ask depth just got slashed and the top offer moved down to 0.69, so that 0.70 parked the bus wall is easing. South Africa's offers also thinned massively, which screams liquidity pull. Watch for a quick momentum driven pop. This is consolidation after the shove. Mexico's still sitting 6.8 though, 69, but that lighter offer stack means it won't take much to nudge higher. South Africa liquidity is thin on the ask, so any surprise headline is a counterattack risk in a hurry. Mexico bid depth just softened, so the buyers took a breather. Still favored, but the tape's not sprinting anymore, with the draw holding steady 8-0. 21.22, this feels like a midfield stalemate until someone hits that 0.69 offer with real size. Not much new price-wise, but Mexico's offer stack is quietly getting shaved too. 31M 8.69 versus 2.40M earlier, so the ceiling is lowering inch by inch. If buyers show up, this is like a late game press. One clean break and you're printing 0.70 again fast. That 0.69 sell wall on Mexico is melting. Top ask size down again to about 2.26M, while bids actually firmed a touch, so pressure is building upward. Feels like the favorites lining up a set piece. One decent buy sweep and you're back staring at 0.70. Big tell here, draw bids just surged, top bid size jumped to about 1.11M, so someone's hedging the favorite and paying up for stalemate insurance. Mexico's implied ticked down a hair to 68%, but that 69 wall keeps shrinking, so it's tension, not panic. Now you're seeing a little profit taking, Alexabet trimming, Mexico Atzo. 68, while the draw bid stays beefy, so the crowd's playing defense. Mexico still pinned 8-0. 69 on the offer, but with that wall thinning, the next clean push could pop it. Mexico's sell side is getting chewed up fast now. Top. Ask ATO at 6.9 down to about 2. 17M and total ask slid hard, so the market's clearing. The runway for an upside break. Draw liquidity is basically a mirror adi. 21-0-22 classic nervy 0-0 hedge, while the favorite presses. Mexico's 69 wall keeps eroding. Now 13M. So the path of least resistance is still up, even if price hasn't budged yet. But notice the draw offers thickening at 0.22. That's the crowd bracing for a scrappy stalemate, while Mexico tries to finish. There it is. The offer just stepped up to 0.70. Sold 6.9 got cleared, and Mexico's trying to break higher, even if the bid hasn't chased yet. That's like winning the midfield, but not getting the shot off. If buyers don't follow through, you can slip right back into the old range. Mexico's liquidity just got vacuumed. Total asks down. Near 3.0 MS, yet the best ask snaps back to 69, so sellers are reloading right where the breakout should have run. That's a classic false start. If bids don't step up, you get a quick fade back into the 0.68 grind. Mexico's still stuck at a 0.68.69, but the real tell is that top offer is sitting up at 0.70 with size. Market's saying pay up if you want more. Feels like a team protecting a one-goal lead, controlled, but one bad turnover and you're right back in a nerves. E-draw trade.
Mexico are trying to wind up that press, but South Africa are keeping it tidy. Little triangles, calm, touches, almost teasing them to overcommit. If Mexico jump too hard, one slick pass and suddenly it's a runway the other way. Motovuz dropped in, and suddenly it's a wall of shirts. 5 across, no daylight, and Mexico are circling like sharks. But these moments are razor edge stuff. One loose clearance, one deflection, and the whole stadium holds its breath. Yeah, that's the little alarm bell for them, because even if they look organized, they've had leaks at the worst times. Against Mexico, you give up one cheap chance, and it's like handing a striker a gift card. Alvarado over it with that sweet left peg, and they were teasing the delivery. Oh, he fancies a hit from there. That's the danger zone, because one wicked whip or a sneaky shot and the keeper's suddenly doing emergency surgery. Oh, come on. That's a soft whistle for me. He's pulled out of it, and the other lad's already going down, like he stepped on a rake. If you're giving those, you'll be stopping play every 30 seconds, Amo. Style circuit breaker.
Mexico's priced like a heavy favorite at 85-86, but the tape shows a real tug of war, one whale scooping size around 70 while a crowd leans bearish Mexico down at 0-31. Classic smart money versus noisy stance setup. The draw book is totally lopsided on the offer side. So if momentum swings mid-match, that draw price can gap fast like a counterattack catching a high line. Absolutely, Leo. One sloppy giveaway is the earnings. Miss that blows up guidance, and suddenly every holder hits the sell button at once. Liquidity vanishes, spreads widen, and the next print looks unfair because it's pure panic, not fundamentals.
Set.
Yep, risk management here is tighten the passing lanes and stop the hero balls. You'd rather take small, controlled losses than one catastrophic drawdown. Slow the tempo, clear your lines, and make Mexico build through traffic. Low percentage shots only. Mexico ticks down a hair to 84-85, but the bigger tell is bid depth collapsing from 223K to 124K, supports thinning even while the favorite stays on top. That's like a team leading but getting pinned back. And one sharp South Africa spell, and you'll see a quick repricing into draw protection.
You're spot on. Don't gift them a buffet in your own third. Make Mexico earn every inch with sweat and bruises. And yeah, keep one eye on that counter like it's a ticking stock chart, because one bad turnover and bang, market crash in your box. Always, John, I'm right here with you, headset on and heart racing. Just tell me what you're seeing and I'll ride the wave with you, because this one feels like it's about to pop.
Mexico snaps right back to 85-86, and you can see buyers refilling the bid depth, confidence returning after that brief wobble. Meanwhile, the draw bids are drying up, so the market is basically saying stop shopping for the upset, like a crowd settling once the favorite regains possession.
The U.S. match, now you're talking, John. That's where the temperature jumps. If they start fast and keep the ball moving, the whole thing opens up. But one sloppy pass and you'll hear the groan ripple through the stands. Absolutely. 8-1-0, you're still one moment away from flipping the script. But if you start chasing like a gambler, Mexico will punish you on the break. South Africa have to stay calm, keep their shape, and make every chance feel like pulling teeth. Exactly, Ian, lose by one and you live to fight, but get blown open, and that goal difference hangs around your neck like an anchor. It's like taking a needless hit to your portfolio. While one bad day is fine, a collapse changes the whole tournament math. Here we go again. Set pieces are where games turn into nightmares, and South Africa can't switch off for a second. One loose marker, one bad bounce, and it's curtains. They've got to win that first header like their lives depend on it.
Now Mexico's bid depth jumps back near 200K, and you have got fresh buyers paying up 8-0. 85 markets leaning into the favorite again, like a team pushing the backline higher after a scare. Draw bids also perk up, but that massive offer wall still screams limited upside unless chaos hits.
He's timing those jumps beautifully, just couldn't quite steer it where he wanted, but you can feel the danger every time he rises. South Africa are getting bullied in the air a bit. Here, they need to put a body on him before he takes off again. Johnny and Finino, those two sound like they're about to spark something, don't they? If they link up cleanly here, South Africa might finally get a breather, but one heavy touch and it's straight back under the pump. You can see the bigwigs watching, and the stadium's still got that opening night haze hanging in the air, like a fog of expectation. But down on the pitch, there's no time for ceremony. South Africa have to get sharper because Mexico are sniffing blood.
This is steady as she goes. Mexico holds 85-86, and the bid stack keeps thickening, so dips are getting bought. Like a top seed killing the clock. South Africa's price is still a lottery ticket, but that creeping bid depth says a few punters are nibby, bling for a counterpunch. Mexico's price won't budge, but that bid depth just slipped from about 210K to 177K. Some buyers stepped off the line, and that's how favorites get nervy late. If South Africa strings together a couple attacks, the draw will be the first place money scrambles for cover.
That slick combination play down the flank, suddenly the tempo lifts and you can feel the crowd lean forward. Guirez is prowling for it, and with that long range cannon he's shown, you don't give him a yard or he'll light this place up. You can sense it building, one crisp pass, and suddenly it's a wave rolling toward the box. If they keep the ball moving with that little bit of swagger, South Africa are going to be scrambling to plug gaps in a hurry. Mwawo on the ball. This is where you want composure and a bit of daring. One quick turn, one sharp pass, and suddenly the whole shape of the attack can explode into life.
And just like that, Mexico's bid depth reloads to about 213K while asks thin a bit. Buyers are back in control, keeping that so. 85 line defended. Draw support fades again, so the market's basically playing park the bus with the favorite and daring anything weird to happen.
Oh no, that touch just lets them down like a striker, slipping on the runway right before takeoff. And you can feel the momentum leak out instantly, because at this level, one loose control is an invitation to get punished. Yeah, they've had a bumpy road coming in, and you can see that little bit of hesitation when the pressure bites. But tournaments don't care about your warm up form. One good spell here, and the whole story can flip in a heartbeat. Those are the kind of results that leave you stuck in neutral. Plenty of effort, not enough punch at the end of it. But a few draws can also mean they're hard to crack. And if they nick the first goal here, suddenly it was a different conversation. Exactly, Amo, when the boss is fuming, that doubt plays into every first touch and every decision. You can see it now. They're playing like they're trying not to make a mistake instead of trying to win the game.
Not much price movement, but Mexico's bid depth is wobbling around that 200K mark, still a strong defense, just not impenetrable. The draw book remains lopsided with huge sell side weight, so unless we get a real momentum swing, traders keep fading the stalemate.
We're watching it live and you can feel the nerves. In the air, every pass is a little heavier, every run a half step late. They've got to settle because right now the game is moving faster than their confidence. Spot on Amo, before a goal you see it in the body. Language, the favorite stops stepping up the clear. Answers turn panicky and the crowd noise flips from confident to edgy. It's like the market goes thin, one sharp move and suddenly everyone's scrambling.
Totally with you, Leo. When VAR's in play, the crowd can't vibe a goal into existence. The tape gets checked and the price snaps back fast. And that Mexico bid depth just got yanked lower while asks ballooned, so one sloppy turnover is a momentum. Swing waiting to happen. Mexico's still priced like the clear favorite, but the support underneath is thinning, bid depth down. Near 140K is a softer backline. Draw liquidity also dried up, so if the game state jolts, this market can gap like a counterattack with nobody tracking runners.
That early punch just sucked the air out of them. Now, every tackle feels desperate and every pass looks rushed. In a stadium like this, you give Mexico a head start and it's like handing a sprinter a 10-meter advantage. They've got to calm the storm and string some possession together. It's a mountain now for Moena. One slip and Mexico are in behind against sniffing blood. But one brave carry, one clean outlet pass, and suddenly, the whole mood can swing back their way.
Mexico's cushion just firmed up again. Bid depth rebounds to about 159K, but the sell wall is getting taller, with asks up near 648K and that 0.99 stack thickening. Feels like the favorite's leading, but the market is putting more defenders behind the ball in case of a late scare.
Yeah, and when your ever-present engine can't find the rhythm, the whole team feels a beat late. Pressing without bite, building without belief. He needs one big touch, one crunching tackle, something to light the fuse and drag them into the match. Motiba on it. This is where you want composure, not a hopeful punt. If he can turn and buy a second, South Africa can finally breathe and push Mexico back a few yards. That delivery never had teeth. Mexico's keeper and backline just gobble it up like breakfast. South Africa needed a cross with venom there, something that makes defenders panic, not a gentle invitation to clear. And it squirts out, still alive, still a chance to recycle and keep Mexico pinned for a moment. But they've got to be sharper on that second ball, but because Mexico will pounce the instant it gets sloppy.
Absolutely, Leo. One yellow is like a margin call warning. Yeah, you don't change the thesis, but you cut the reckless tackles and manage exposure. In pricing terms, it fattens the tail risk, so the favorites' odds can wobble on any next foul or break. Yeah, that's an early volatility spike, like a surprise rate hike that forces everyone to play tighter. It usually benefits the underdog because the favorite can't press as aggressively without risking a second booking and a red. Spot on, Leo. An early yellow is the market's first circuit breaker. Everyone recalibrates risk and stops, flying into 50-50s. Tempo often drops a notch, and the team with more depth benefits because they can rotate without playing scared. Exactly. This ref's basically the SEC showing up on day one, telling everyone the leverage is coming down. And that tightens behavior fast. Fewer risky presses, more conservative tackles, and it quietly boosts the draw probability as the game gets more stop-start. Mexico's still priced like the heavy favorite 80-0, 85 low 86, but notice the tape. Bid depth jumped to about 221K while the ask wall barely budged. Buyers are stepping in, not chasing. Draw liquidity's thin on the bid and massive on the offer, so any dull stretch can pop the draw price fast, but it'll be a tough grind to sustain. Totally, Leo. This is the regulator's opening whistle. Play it clean or pay up. It compresses risk-taking fast, so you get fewer wild challenges and more cautious tempo, like volatility getting capped early.
Oof, that's a statement from the ref Smoko Yena into the book, and you can feel the temperature rise out. There, Mexico, though, cool as you like, wriggling. Out of the press, Thiago's touches velvet, glides. Past Mo, and suddenly the danger flips the other way. Bah! No doubt about it, he's late, he's clumsy, and the referee has got nowhere else to go but yellow. The only question now is whether that booking makes him hesitate next time because Mexico are sniffing. Blood in those pockets.
Not much price movement. Mexico still pinned at T0, 85, 0.86. But the bid depth eased a bit, so the favorite crowd isn't adding fuel right now. Draw ticked up to 12%, and with that giant offer stack. Overhead, it's a classic low float squeeze risk if the match stays cagey.
Absolutely. Uncertainty is like playing on a yellow. Every tackle's half a step late, every decision second. Guessed, and the crowd turns edgy, waiting for the next whistle. Teams stop managing the game and start surviving it. And that's when momentum swings like a loose door in a storm. Chicago Fire. Hey, this one can spark in a heartbeat because they play with that Windy City urgency straight at you. If they smell hesitation, they'll turn it into a blaze down the channels, and suddenly you're scrambling to put it out. That's a proper shop window moment. All-star stage, bright lights, and every touch feels like it's got a price tag on it. You can bet the tempo jumps, the tricks come out, and nobody wants to be the one caught napping. Don't blink now. This is exactly when the game bites. When you look away for a heartbeat, and suddenly, it's chaos in the box. Something's brewing. You can feel the air change.
That's exactly a restatement moment. Once governance gets dinged, the market slaps on an uncertainty discount, and everyone starts planning with wider error bars. You see it here too. Mexico's still favored, but the real move is in positioning and hedges, not the headline. Price.
Exactly. Once you pop that first press, you don't need fireworks, you need composure. Keep it. Make Mexico. Chase, let your lungs and your shape reset. South Africa are playing like the clock's their enemy, and that's pure growing pains.
Mexico's price is steady, but the bid depth just slid from 311K to 239K. Support is thinning even while the scoreboard odds look unchanged. That's like a team dominating possession but losing midfield legs. If momentum flips, the draw can re-rate quickly off a small push. Now we've got a real tell. Mexico slips two out. 84 low and 85, and the bid depth collapses. Buyers just stepped off the pitch. Withdraw liquidity drying up too, this market's prim. Ed for a sharp momentum-driven swing on the next headline or big play.
You can see it, can't you? The yips and boots, simple. Passes suddenly feel like hot potatoes underworld. Cup floodlights. Mexico smell that nerves and noise cocktail, and they were squeezing the life out of it, calm as you like. While the crowd purrs louder with every clean sequence. He's looking razor sharp, isn't he? First touch like velvet, and the body shape screams confidence. If he keeps finding those little pockets, Mexico are going to carve chances like a chef with a new knife.
Yeah, Mexico's trading like a blue chip tight spread. He's still the benchmark, but you can see the bid support, thinning like tired legs late in the match. South Africa is the jittery small cap, wide spread, low bids, and any surprise headline can gap it fast. Mexico's back up to an 86% lean, and you can see bids refilling, confidence is returning, but it's still not the deep bench you want with that heavy ask overhead. This feels like a team regaining shape after a wob. Steady, but one counterpunch can still change. The tape fast.
Yeah, he's arriving with that striker swagger. When you've been filling the net week after week, you start seeing gaps that aren't even there yet. But this stage is a different beast, and Mexico's backline will test whether that confidence is steel or just shine.
South Africa just got marked down a notch. 0.02, 0.03, and that's the market basically parking the bus on the upset. Mexico's still pinned 80. 85, 0.86, but bid depth is leaking again, so the favorite. His lead looks comfortable until it suddenly isn't.
That's the moment. Touch like silk, but the pass was begging to be played, and he's gone for glory. You can feel the crowd half rise there because that square ball could have opened South Africa up like a zipper. Absolutely. Ochoa's been Mexico's emergency siren for years. The man who turns, that's a goal into how on earth did he save that? And if this gets scrappy, you know he's the one who can keep them standing tall. 40 years old and still throwing himself around like a kid in the park. Unbelievable. That's not just experience, that's pure obsession with the craft, and Mexico love him for it.
Mexico's bid depth just snapped back up near 196K. While the ask stack actually lightened, buyers are stepping in with a bit more conviction. That's a classic momentum reset. The favorite's back on the front foot, and the draw stays a cheap hedge with that 0. 11 to 12 quote.
Mao, listen, even the name sounds like a roar in the stadium. If he's on the ball now, you just sense something could spark, because players like that don't need an invitation to cause chaos. That's more like it from South Africa. Finally, a little incision, a little belief, trying to squeeze daylight through Mexico's shape. You can feel the tempo twitch upward now. One clean break and suddenly it's a contest. Here they come, drifting inside, trying to overload that central lane and make Mexico's defenders start pointing and panicking. If the runner times it right, one slip of a pass and it's danger flashing red.
Mexico's support keeps building, bid depth up to about 236. So the market's basically saying favorite holds, even if the price itself won't budge off. 85, 0.86. South Africa's still a ghost town on the bid, which is how upsets die. No one wants to pay up until the ball's already in the net.
Yeah, they wriggle out of the press beautifully. That first touch and turn is top class, but then the final connection just dies on them. It's like building a gorgeous runway and then forgetting the plane. They've crossed the lines there, and Mexico's back. Line has to spin and sprint. Suddenly it's stretched. But if South Africa don't hit that next pass with conviction, the moment evaporates in a heartbeat.
Absolutely. Tactical foul is the circuit breaker. You pay a small price now to avoid a full-blown gap against you, and you can see it in the book too. Mexico's bid depth is the hands on the wheel, risk desk keeping. The favorite steady. Big tell here, draw bid depth just collapsed to about 5K. Nobody's paying for the stalemate right now. It is all air under that 11 bid. Mexico still holds the line at 0. 85.86, but with thinner support, any sudden momentum swing could move this faster than people expect.
Absolutely. In this heat, you can see legs turning heavy and brains turning slow. Hydration break is a lifeline, not a luxury. It's also a sneaky little timeout for coaches to redraw the map and reset the rhythm. I'm not sure what you mean there. Are you asking about Stoli getting back into the game or something off the pitch like a bedroom? Say the name again and what you want to know, and I've got you. That little layoff from Mexico is pure street football. One touch, set it, and suddenly the angle opens up. It's simple, but it drags defenders like magnets and buys them a precious second. Yeah, you can feel it now. Mexico are purring pass and move like a band finally in sync. When a team finds that rhythm, the ball does the running and the defenders start chasing shadows. Alvarado's living on that left side like it's his home. Address, always offering, always tugging the shape. Wider, that's captain's work too, barking orders with his feet, keeping the tempo honest.
That draw book just refilled fast, bid depth back near 18k, so someone's buying the 0-0 grind again, even as the quote stays stuck at 0. 11.12. Mexico's still the heavy favorite, but the bigger ask wall says sellers are happy to fade any late hype. Yeah, higher tempo is like turning up volatility. Favorites usually win because talent compounds when the clock actually runs. The losers are the draw and long shot holders who were banking on stoppages and chaos management. That edge just got whistled away. Draw just ticked up to a 12 and 13, but the real story is Mexico bid depth got cut in half, supports thinning even while the favorite price stays pinned. That's like a team leading 1-0 but dropping deeper. If pressure comes, the move can get messy fast. Totally. When refs tighten up mid-tournament, it's like a surprise margin hike, the old manage the clock. Strategy gets repriced instantly. The disciplined sides adapt quickest, while the skier, appy underdogs lose their cheap fouls and stoppages. Momentum swings toward quality.
Ooh, that's the danger. One sloppy touch and the whole move coughs and splutters. Reiners does well to recycle it, though. Keep it alive, reset the rhythm, and you can feel the crowd inhale again. Absolutely. Imovar is the ultimate headline candle. One freeze frame and the whole stadium charts a new price. You watch the refs stride and the players' reactions like order flow. If the protests die quick, the no-pen trade is on. Reiners is everywhere right now, sniffing danger, snapping into tackles and driving the tempo like he's got an extra lung. You can feel the opposition getting rattled. When one player starts bossing it, the whole pitch tilts his way. Maguna on the ball, head up, scanning. You can sense the crowd rising with every touch. One sharp pass or a quick shift of the hips here, and South Africa could crack this open in a heartbeat. Spot on, Amo. The first roar is pure retail, all emotion and no depth. The real tell is whether the momentum holds after the replay when the players stop pleading and start positioning for the restart. Whoa, tempers flaring out there. Someone's just gone. In with a bit of get that out of my portfolio energy. The ref's got to calm this down fast because one rash moment and the whole match can swing. And there it is, yellow card out, the ref laying down. The law, that booking changes the duel instantly. Now he's got to defend on a tightrope, one missed time, that lunge and it's curtains.
Draw is getting a little lift. Euro. They're into 14, while Mexico can't reclaim them. 86. So the market's basically pricing favorite still ahead, but nerves rising. That's classic VR energy. Uncertainty widens spreads and drags money toward the draw hedge. Absolutely, those reviews are a circuit breaker that cools the panic trade, so teams stop overreacting to one dodgy tackle. But it also adds dead time, and that's like volatility, compression, fewer wild swings, more set-piece chess, and managers hoard subs like cash.
Here we go, South Africa finally with a bit of grass to run into, and you can feel the tempo lift. One clean first touch and a brave run at the back. Line, and suddenly this turns from nervy to dangerous in a flash. This is the moment. If they're sharp, it's one pass to split the lines, and the crowd ignites. But hesitate for a heartbeat, and the chance evaporates like a loose ball in the box that nobody dares to claim. Absolutely, these are gold dust moments. Blink and they are gone. In a tight game like this, you don't get many invitations, so South Africa have to treat it like a one-time offer and cash it in. Yeah, this is all about the whip and the weight. Put it in the corridor of uncertainty and defenders start panicking. Overhit it and it's a wasted trip. Underhit it and you're basically handing it back with a bow on top.
You can feel the market exhale. Draw slips back to go 12-0 and 13 in Mexico's steady 8. 84-85, so the scare got faded fast. But that giant ass depth is like a packed defense. Any rally needs real goal-mouth action to break through.
And one thing, this is where composure beats chaos, because the next touch can decide the whole mood of the match. If they stay brave and precise, it's a real chance to flip the script right here.
Totally. When the ref tightens the whistle, players stop flying into tackles like traders stop swinging for home runs under tougher margin rules. Risk appetite shifts to safer possession and set piece setups, and the underdog's chaos edge gets priced out fast. Yeah, it calms the tape at first. Fewer reckless challenges, fewer sudden red card crashes, but it also raises background tension because everyone's playing on a tight leash, and one borderline call can spark a sharper repricing.
Yeah, the officials are clamping down hard. No one wants this turning into a wrestling match and stealing the spotlight from the football. Keep it clean, keep it moving because the crowd came for goals, not grappling. Absolutely, these days they're on it early because one little flare-up can spread like wildfire and suddenly the game's about handbags, not highlights. The message is clear. Play hard, but don't play stupid. That set piece was begging for a bit more imagination. Too honest, too straight, and the defense just says, thank you very much. In these moments, you need a free kick with a lie-in, a little bend, a little bite.
Now we've got a real momentum shift. Mexico ticks up to 0.85, 0.86, and bid depth more than doubles that. Spires stepping in with conviction. Draw keeps leaking 2-0. 11.12. So the market's basically saying control. The midfield, see it out, not late chaos.
And there it is, the drinks break, a little pause in the storm powered by Powerade, and everyone grabs a breath. Perfect moment for the coaches to sneak in a quick tweak because when we restart, the tempo can flip in a heartbeat.
Draw just caught a tiny bid 0. 12.13 with bid depth up, so someone's nibbling at the stalemate insurance. Mexico's still pinned at 0.85, 0.86 though, and that heavy ask overhead says the crowd's confident but not chasing like it's a breakaway. That 1-0 lead trades like a blue chip gap up. Expect consolidation, not fireworks, unless Mexico gets sloppy in transition. But one set piece wobble is your quick correction. Candle, so the draw hedge stays alive in the background. Mexico's the name with the bid right now. Trend is up, and they can manage this like a team protecting a one-goal lead with possession. South Africa's under pressure to press higher, which is like levering up late in the match, higher upside. But you're exposed to the counter. I'm treating it like a blue chip lead. Hold it, let the clock do the compounding, and don't overtrade. The noise. The swing risk is the classic one bad turnover headline. So volatility's there, but it's not the base case. Yeah, that unlimited pitch is classic telecom play. Book, RPU defense with aggressive promos but margins. Get tackled if the price war heats up. Ad spend here tells you brands still pay up for live. Sports reach, and the winners are the networks with the cleanest fiber and lowest churn. Totally. Stoppages are like a volatility halt. Everyone resets, coaches reprice risk, and the restart can gap if one side comes out with a new press. If Mexico stays composed, it's a steady reopen. If South Africa blitzes, you get that fast wick.
That's the kind of backing that turns a stadium into a pressure cooker. Ultras don't just sing, they drag the team over the line. You can feel the tempo lift when that end starts bouncing. It's like the pitch is tilting their way.
Absolutely. Mexico just dodged a flash crash candle. There, one more touch and you're printing a nasty red bar. That kind of escape often sparks a relief, rally in confidence, but it also tells you the downside. Tail risk is very real. This book is screaming Mexico heavy at 85%, but the real tell is that chunky-ass depth overhead, plenty of folks ready to sell into any pop, so upside is capped unless we get a clean momentum burst. South Africa is basically illiquid 83%, and the draw is a thin bid with a wall of supply like a long shot. Trade nobody wants to warehouse. Yeah, the GOAT case is a blue chip screen, sustained earnings over seasons, a peak that breaks the model. It is in trophies as the dividend stream. The real moat is impact plus clutch. When the game tightens, they don't just survive, they re-rate the whole match. Exactly. GOAT energy is like a great allocator. They don't just compound their own returns, they lift the whole portfolio sharp by making teammates more efficient. Its leadership is alpha, everyone's ceiling rises because the system runs cleaner.
USA getting set. This is that hush before the storm moment, isn't it? If they nail the first touch in the second run, the whole place can flip in a heartbeat. Let's see if they've got that killer edge.
Yeah, that wording needs tightening. Up to 25 must spell out eligibility, odds format, and whether it as a free bet, bonus cash, or refund plus clear terms, and geo age restrictions. Frame it as a limited time promotional credit triggered by a stat event, not a promise of profit. Yep, this is basically a bet and get with a very likely trigger. So the real risk is cost control. Cap per user, require a qualifying stake, and pay as site. Credit with rollover. Think of it like a high conversion coupon. Great acquisition, but you've got to manage abuse and liability. Mexico ticks up to 86%, but look at the tape. Bid depth, just thinned hard, so the confidence is there while the support underneath is getting lighter. That's a classic price up, cushion down setup. One bad headline and it can slip like a team pressing without cover. Mexico's still pinned at 86% with a tight 85-86 spread, but the buy side is only marginally firmer. This is more hold the lead than go for the kill. South Africa leaking 2-3% tells you nobody wants that. Upset risk, but liquidity there is basically a ghost town.
Azteca is absolutely humming tonight, and Mexico have that one goal grip, but South Africa are hanging in there. You can feel it. The problem is that final third composure, if they can string a few passes after breaking the first line. If suddenly this turns into a real contest. And with all those fresh caps out there, it's nerves versus noise. Welcome to the World Cup.
Draw just got smacked, bid depth collapsed to 5 grand, and the price slid to 11.12, so nobody's standing in front of that train. Mexico stays steady at 86%, but this feels like the market's parking the bus, low appetite for side bets, all conviction in the favorite.
Absolutely, the altitude's the usual Azteca boogie, man, but South Africa have done their homework, training even higher, so they won't be gasping like tourists. On day one, that levels the playing field a touch. Now it's about who keeps their head when the stadium starts roaring. And there's the quick break. Bang! Suddenly the pitch opens up. Farelgo's done the dirty work in the build. Up, nicking that little pocket of space. And now it is all about the next pass. Make it clean, and this gets dangerous fast.
Now you're seeing a little life back in the draw book. Bid depth rebounded, but price still can't lift. So it's more bargain hunters than true believers. Mexico's ask wall got heavier, which screams late. Long's taking profit, while the favorite still controls possession.
He's sitting a bit deeper again, soaking it up, but that first half, wow, set the tone with that finish. You can see the confidence in every touch now. Mexico look like they've got a metronome in midfield, and South Africa are chasing the beat. Oh, absolutely. They've been on top, but one sleepy touchback there, and Azteca goes from party to panic. In a heartbeat, South Africa don't need a dozen chances, just one loose pass, and suddenly it's a foot race to goal. Exactly, comfortable is the most dangerous word in a World Cup. It's like saying quiet in a commentary. Box, one laps, one ball over the top, and suddenly Mexico are staring at 1-1 with the whole stadium holding its breath.
Mexico just nudged up a notch to 87%, and the market is paying up at 86-87, so momentum's back with the favorite. But that big ass depth overhead is like a packed penalty box. Plenty of sellers ready to clear it if the game gets even slightly messy.
Dioto slips it inside. Oh, that's tidy, and Quinones takes it in stride. Lovely little combination play. Freer's arriving with intent too, and you can feel the tempo lift. Mexico are sniffing blood here. He carved out that shooting lane beautifully, just enough daylight to pull the trigger. But Satol throws himself in there like a human shield. There's a massive block, and that could be a game saver if this stays tight.
Mexico's still priced like the clear favorite at 86. 87, but bid depth is easing again. Support's backing. Away, even as the scoreline stays flattering. And South Africa's book is so thin, you've got bids showing at basically zero, which tells you this upset. Trade is all lottery tickets, no real liquidity.
Mexico have been here before, promising spells, then the tournament bites back when you least expect it. Alvarado did the hard part, wriggled free, but that cross was a gift to Williams. Too close, and the keeper says thank you very much. Williams parking that bus like he's on the Spurs payroll. No ticket needed, just straight into his gloves. But Mexico won't mind. They're still knocking on the door, and the pressure's starting to creak. Yeah, he's taken this scenic route in his career, but nights like this are where reputations get stamped. One big save, one brave claim, and suddenly you're the hero. Football's got a funny way of paying you back.
I'm with you, Leo. This looks like real momentum, but it's not a clean break yet because the sell wall overhead is still stacked. Think of it like sustained pressure without the finish. One sloppy turnover and the price snaps back fast.
Feels like one of those sundown games where the shadows get long and the nerves get longer. You can sense it. One moment of quality, one lapse of focus, and this whole thing flips on its head.
Mexico's bid depth just firmed up again, so buyers are still stepping in to defend that 86 handle moment. Intact, but the draw in South Africa books are basically ghost towns on the bid side, so any surprise swing will be a nasty low liquidity whipsaw.
That's the key. Head up, pick the pass, don't just lash it and hope. In these moments, you either play with courage or you play with fear, and the crowd can smell the difference a mile off. Now let that breathe, slow it down, keep your shape, and don't give them a sniff. Because one sloppy touch here and it's sirens, panic, stations, the whole stadium holding its breath.
Draw just ticked down a cent, and Mexico's implied edge softened a hair. Nothing dramatic, but it's a tiny breather after the press. The bigger tell is still that massive offer side liquidity, and sellers are parked like a back four, forcing Mexico to earn every inch. Totally Leo. Call it a home field carry trade. Less travel is lower volatility, and markets pay for stability. It won't flip a mismatch, but it can be the extra few percentage points that turns a tight game into a grind-out win. Yeah, that's a marquee matchup. England's the blue chip, a deep bench, steady pricing, but you pay a premium for it. Mexico's the high beta play, can rip on momentum with the crowd, but one defensive lapse, and it's a sharp drawdown.
Absolutely, we're counting tickets before the whistle. It's even blown. Tournament football has a wicked sense of humor. One bad half, one bounce, and the easy path turns into a mountain climb. Let's win the next duel first, yeah?
Mexico's still pinned at 86-87, but you can see bid depth leaking. Buyers are a bit less eager at these prices. Meanwhile, the draw bid perked up, which is classic late game hedging. Crowd expects control, but they're ensuring against a nervy finish.
This bit's pure nerves and grit, bones rattling, lungs burning, and nobody wants to be the one who blinks. You can feel it. One moment of bravery and the whole story flips.
Absolutely. Those nicknames are basically ticker symbols. Short, sticky, and they trade on emotion more than fundamentals. When El Cachorro pops, the crowd bids the story up fast, and suddenly the player's brand is moving, like a momentum stock.
Ha! That's you passing it into the channel for Amo, and hoping he sprints onto it. But you're right, those nicknames fly around like confetti, and half the fun is watching which one sticks when the pressure hits.
Mexico's probability nudged up to 87%, but the real story is liquidity drying up on both Mexico, and the draw bid depth is thinning, so any headline could move price faster. South Africa is still a penny stock long shot, and that giant ask wall says nobody's paying up for the miracle.
Me? Oh, I had one. El Microfono, because I never stopped talking and defenders couldn't get a word in edge. Wait, what was yours then? Something terrifying or something your mates still tease you about today? Oh, I've heard those ones. Straight to the VAR room for language. That. Keep it clean for the broadcast, my friend, but I love the honesty. Those are usually the nicknames. That mean you were doing something right out there.
Yeah, Leo, nicknames are like ticker symbols. Short, memorable, and they make the crowd trade the story faster than the stats. Once a name catches, the player's brand chart gaps up on sentiment, even if the fundamentals haven't moved. Mexico's still the heavy favorite, but notice the bid. Depth just jumped, buyers are stepping back in and defending that 86 handle like a top seed, protecting a 1-goal lead. South Africa ticking up 2-3 cents is noise, but in thin markets, noise can become a breakaway fast. Totally, sentiment's the quickest trader in the building. In one highlight reel is basically an earnings beat, and the crowd goes from risk off to FOMO in a heartbeat. And suddenly the hated name is ripping like a classic dead cat bounce turned real rally. Mexico's back to 87% and the bid depth keeps building. This is buyers stacking the order book like a team, pinning you in your own half. Draw's still priced cheap, but that massive ask overhead screams limited upside unless chaos hits. Exactly, Leo. When you press that high, you're basically running max leverage, looks dominant until one counter wipes you out. Markets call it concentration risk. You need a hedge or a stop because one clean break turns control into panic fast.
Go well. South Africa strike first, and it's a beauty. The kind that makes the whole stadium bounce like it's 2010 all over again. Mexico got caught with that high press, and bang, punished in behind, absolutely electric. Shabalala, what a name to scream into the night, and what a story with it. From Soweto streets to the biggest stage, he's just lit the fuse, and the stadium's gone volcanic. Taxi. Driver's son driving the whole nation forward.
That equalizer is the classic snapback rally. South Africa's early spike just got mean reverted hard when liquidity showed up late. And that Marquez succession chatter is a next CEO trade. The market starts pricing the future bench before the current manager's even off the touchline. Bam! We're seeing Mexico still priced like the favorite. But bid depth just got cut in half. Buyers aren't chasing. They're letting the ball roll out and resetting. That's a small sentiment wobble. If any late game chaos hits, the thin bids mean the move can get ugly fast.
Mexico got away with one there. Sloppy touch switched off for a heartbeat, and South Africa nearly pounced. And that's the danger when you play on the edge. One careless moment and the crowd smells blood again.
Yeah, that's headline risk hitting the tape. Succession. Rumors widen the spread because nobody knows who's calling the plays next. The way you stabilize is simple. Tighten the shape, reduce unforced errors, and let the blue chip veterans control tempo like defensive cash in a sell-off. Totally, this is a relief rally on the pitch, but the Marquez talk is mostly optionality getting priced and not a done deal. Leadership names can add a stability premium, yet until it's confirmed, it trades like rumor-driven momentum. Fast up, fast down. Yep, that volley is a gap-down candle. Momentum flips in one touch, and suddenly everyone's scrambling for exits. The Marquez chatter is the safe hands narrative, but it can't stop the drawdown in real time. First, you survive the volatility, then you re-rate. Absolutely, that's a clean breakout above resistance. No wick, no noise, just straight price discovery into the top corner. When it strikes that pure, shorts don't get a stop. Lost, they just get carried out on a stretcher. Yeah, that's the perfect trade in the wrong regime. Beautiful entry, flawless execution, and the macro still steamrolls you. Sometimes you score a worldie and the market shrugs, because the bigger trend line is pointing the other way. I'm with you, Leo. This feels like a sharp bear market. Rally, the tape looks better for a moment, but volatility is still in charge. That slick link up is a momentum burst, yet one turnover, and you're right back in drawdown territory.
That little slip pass down the right is pure mischief. Lau Foster's got grass to eat up now. If the timing's right, this is where defenses panic and goalkeepers start shouting at shadows.
Mexico's priced like a heavy favorite at 86%, but look, at that lopsided book, tons of offers sitting above. And so upside feels capped unless fresh buyers step in. The draw market is basically an air pocket with massive sell walls, and South Africa's 3% is pure lottery ticket with liquidity traps. Big money's leaning Mexico, but the tape says crow. Dead trade, so any wobble could get exaggerated fast. Set.
Yeah, you can feel the frustration building. Another one that just doesn't stick, and it kills the rhythm. Stone dead. When your touch goes walkabout like that, the crowd groans before the ball's even lost. Absolutely, the nerves have burned off now. This has settled into a proper contest with a bit of bite in it. First half's ticking away, and you can sense both sides starting to believe they can land a punch. Oh, that's a gorgeous volley, clean as a whistle, and for a split second, you think the net's about to ripple. A technique like that makes defenders freeze and fans rise even if it doesn't quite pay out.
Totally, crowd noise is like a risk-on bid hitting the tape, and Germany's looking bullish with momentum, traders piling in. The other side's wobbling like a levered long when volatility spikes one bad touch and you can feel the forced selling.
Absolutely, South Africa have flashed real quality, little bursts of bravery and invention that make you sit up. They're not just hanging on here, they're asking questions, and that's when a game starts to crackle. Yeah, you can see the shoulders drop the moment something goes wrong. Heads turning, hands on hips, that heavy look of a side carrying baggage. One more wobble and it becomes contagious. They need a leader to grab the wheel right now.
Mexico's win odds tick up to 87% and the bid depth just surged. Buyers are stepping in like a team pressing high after halftime. But there's still a chunky wall of supply on the offer, so it's a grind higher, not a clean breakaway. South Africa remains a thin, illiquid punt where one headline can gap it either way. Exactly. After a couple errors, sentiment turns into a downdraft and every touch gets sold, just like a post-miss chart that can't catch a bid. Stabilizers are the boring stuff, clean possession, a tactical reset, and one solid stop that brings buyers back in.
Yeah, that pass had a bit too much on it, like over hitting a putt when you just needed a gentle nudge. Rails is stretching, but it's gone before he can even set his feet, and the move fizzles out.
Mexico's still the clear favorite at 87%, but that bid depth just fell off a cliff. Looks like buyers stepped back and let the price float on fumes. Draw ticked up to 12% as a hedge, while South Africa stays a thin market where any spark can cause a nasty gap.
Alvarado's feet are dancing there. Little touches, quick shifts. He's trying to open the door with a lockpick. Gear's alive to it too, sniffing the space, and suddenly the crowd can feel something brewing. Fidalgo takes it inside. Nice little angle change, trying to slip between the lines. That's the kind of movement that can unbalance a defense in a heartbeat if the next pass is sharp. Kenyon looked like he was winding up for something. Outrageous there. One of those hold your breath moments. But the hesitation creeps in and the chance to spring. The shock just slips through his fingers. They're dropping deep, looking for somewhere to go. Big waiting for that one run to light the fuse. You can feel the patience turning into pressure now. Because one clean switch and it's chaos in the final third. He's trying to map it out in his head. Where's the gap? Where's the trigger run? But the pitch doesn't wait for planning, and the defenders are reading the lines like they've seen the script already. Williams on it now, strong posture, head up. You can sense he wants to impose himself. If he drives forward here, it forces a decision. Step out and risk the space, or back off and invite trouble. Absolutely. If that goes the other way, it's a disaster waiting to happen. One tiny misread and suddenly you're staring at your own goal with everyone scrambling like it's a fire drill.
Nailed it. That's the blue chip bid showing up right at the 200 day when everything's wobbling. One clutch save doesn't start a new bull market, but it stops the panic and forces shorts to think twice. Exactly. Taking the shot is the market order, decisive, but you pay the spread and live with the slippage. The through ball is the limit order, higher expected. Pay off if it lands, but timing risk is brutal and the window closes fast. Mexico's book just reloaded, bid depth back up hard, while price stays pinned at 86 or 87, so that's real support, not just vibes. Draw liquidity still lopsided on the offer, and South Africa tightening 2-0. 0-2, 0.02 is basically no one wants to play levels.
You're spot on. If someone darts across that near post, Williams has to make a horrible choice in a split second. Instead, it's all in front of him, nice and readable, and that's a gift at this level. That run behind the line was begging for a first time hit.
Totally. Protecting A10 is like a portfolio up big. You don't chase more beta, you rebalance and lock in some gains. Overextending for the second is levering up late in the game. Great if it hits, but one turnover and you are in a drawdown.
Midnight kickoff for the after-hours show. Love it. That's when the takes get spicy and the coffee gets tactical. If Mexico don't grab that second, they'll be watching it with sweaty palms because this game has got one moment changes everything written all over it.
Not much new price action. Mexico's still glued to 0, 86 draw 87 with solid bid depth, so the market's saying, control the game, no drama. The real tell is still that massive offside overhang in draw in South Africa, which screams low conviction and ugly air. Pockets if sentiment flips. Yeah, that second goal is like scaling out some profits, locks in the win and calms the tape. Letting it run at 1 euro is staying fully long into the close, higher upside, but one headline swing and you give back the whole move.
He's running the engine room right now. Drops in, takes it under pressure, and suddenly Mexico breathe again. You can hear him saying, give it here with every touch, just calming the storm and setting the tempo. Capable, all right. He's got that, give me the ball. I'll sort it out, swagger in midfield. If he keeps snapping into space like that, Mexico can turn control into a killer second goal in a heartbeat. Mexico back on it now, and you can feel them trying to squeeze the game by the throat, slow it, then suddenly punch forward. The crowd's humming because one clean pass here and it's danger time. Absolutely, one line higher and he's not just recycling. He's threatening, he's asking questions. From there, he can nick it between the lines and suddenly the back line's doing the panic shuffle.
Mexico's still the heavy favorite, but you can see the bid depth bleeding a bit, supports there just not getting stronger. South Africa drifting down to A2% line tells you the upset crowd's gone quiet, but in thin bids, one counter. Attack can still gap the price.
Yes, let the back three and wing backs do the plumbing. And he's the guy waiting in that pocket like a pick. Pocket in a crowd, turns, faces goal, and suddenly Mexico are running at you with headlights on. Yeah, he's forced to hit the reset there, and it just takes the sting out of it. But push him that step higher, and Mexico get an extra body arriving. Suddenly it's waves, not puddles, crashing into the box. Oh, that's the scenic route, isn't it? Back we go, all the way to the goalkeeper's postcode. Mexico just hit the reset button hard, but sometimes that lull is exactly when they spring the trap with it. One sharp switch. And that's the frustrating bit. So much good shape, then it fizzles right at the finish. You can feel they're one brave forward pass away from lighting this up, but they've got to commit bodies or it dies on the vine. That delivery had real promise, hung up there begging to be attacked. But Ocon climbs like he's got an elevator in his boots and just bullies it away. No nonsense, no second chances.
Whoa, Mexico bid depth just got chopped from 240k to 104k while price hasn't moved, and that's classic. Lead looks comfy until it doesn't. Draw bids also thinned, so if momentum swings, there's less cushion. Like a backline stepping up with nobody covering the channel.
Yeah, you can see that European schooling in him. Tim, ing body position, no panic when it's dropping from the sky. Second tier in Germany is a proper grind. 2, AMO, like a stock that's been stress tested every weekend.
Absolutely. Grinding in a tough league is like a company surviving a high rate cycle. Margins get tested, weak habits get exposed, and only the durable skill set compounds. When he comes back, he's basically investment grade. Under pressure, not just a highlight reel growth story.
Bokazi steps in and you can feel the tempo twitch. He's got that give it to me body language. If he finds one clean pass between the lines here, suddenly the whole stadium wakes up. Paul Berlin's been tidy, hasn't he? Keeps it moving, keeps the pulse steady. But now's the moment to turn that neat work into something nasty in the final third because pretty passing doesn't to win you points.
Mexico's back to looking sturdier. Bid depth rebuilt to 294k and the price is still pinned at the euro. 86.47, so buyers are reloading, not panicking. But with that big ask stack overhead, it's still a protect the lead market, not a runaway.
Oh, that was the opening. LaFoster just needed one cleaner touch and it's chaos in the box. You could feel the defenders wobble for a split second, and those are the moments that decide matches. Exactly. That's the kind of run that makes center B backs start pointing and arguing. Foster's ghosting right through the seam like he's got a backstage pass. If Mexico keep letting that gap breathe, they're begging to be punished. Oh, Williams gets pinned by that near post art. Classic decoy run. It just glues his feet to the turf. And once the fullback hesitates, that left side opens up like a door in a storm. Yeah, he can't gamble there. If he drops early, he's dead. And if he stands tall, he's late. It's a keeper. His nightmare. That's why those little feints are poison. They steal your decision before the ball even arrives.
Tiny wobble here. Mexico ticks down a cent and win odds. Slip to 85%, which is the market shaving exposure as the clock drags on. It's like a team dropping 5 yards deeper. Still in control, but you're inviting a late set piece that can change everything fast. Yeah, that's a tape with no prints. Volatility looks low, but the order book is quietly loading up for a jump. When one side stops generating chances, pressure doesn't disappear, it compounds, and the eventual break can be a nasty gap move. Totally range-bound until you get a headline, and in football, that headline is a turnover in the middle. Third, a set piece or a tactical sub that flips field position. Absent that, the favorite just bleeds the clock like a stock grinding higher on buybacks. Mexico's holding that so. 85 0.86 line and bid depth actually ticks up, so the dip buyers are still showing up. But the draw book is quietly heavy on the offer side. If Mexico doesn't convert pressure, that 0-0 tax creeps back in.
He's one of those players who can disappear for 5 minutes, then suddenly pop up in the pocket and make the whole move click. If the coach trusts him, you know there's a spark there. South Africa just need him to show it before this slips away. Whoa, that one's gone a bit scrambled like a bad clearance. Are you asking about a place in Spain or someone's name there? Give me the clean pass again and I'll pick it up on the right-hand side.
Mexico's probability nudges back up to 86% while the price stays glued at 0. 85 0.86, classic strong favorite, no new info tape. Draw bids are creeping higher in size though, so the market's hedging like fans getting nervous when the finishing boots go missing.
Mexico are trying to stitch it together, but it's heavy, legged stuff. Every touch feels like it's got a defender hanging off it. That press is biting, forcing them sideways, and you can hear the rhythm of the game getting strangled. Oof, Lira's been clattered there. Those are the tackles that make the whole stadium suck in a breath. Ref's got a decision to make because that's the kind of challenge that can flip the temperature of a match in a heartbeat. And it's gone, snatched away just like that, and he is pleading for the whistle, but the ref's waving him. Up, play on. That's a brutal moment. 1 second you're building, the next you're chasing shadows, and the crowd can smell danger.
Mexico bid depth just jumped to about 225K, while the price won't lift. Buyers are leaning in, but someone is happily supplying Eto. Draw odds tick down a touch, and South Africa liquidity is drying up. So this is turning into a one-team market.
Yeah, the ref's been quick on that whistle tonight. Says in South Africa have just handed him another easy one, completely needless when they could have nicked it back cleanly. That first touch invited pressure, then the clatter comes in, and now they're gifting territory in a set piece. And now the sun breaks through. Suddenly the pitch looks brighter and the game feels like it's waking up. You always get that little surge when the light hits, like someone's turned the volume up in the stadium. Yeah, it's been one of those gray, wet mornings where the ball skids and every first touch feels like a gamble. But if the rain's easing and the light's teasing through, you can sense the tempo ready to lift a notch.
Draw just got marked up to 0. 12 Roy 13, even as its depth thins, that's a little squeeze. Like the underdog finally winning a few corners and the crowd starts to believe. Mexico still sits firm 8, 85 86, but if they don't score soon, that draw price can keep creeping.
That's World Cup fever for you, people turning up at dawn like it's a concert, traffic locked solid, and still they pour in singing. And here we go again down that flank. Mexico sniffing around like they've found a loose thread to pull. He spreads it wide, and that's the cue for the full back to fly. Suddenly the pitch feels twice as big. You can hear the crowd lean in because one good delivery from out there can flip the whole mood.
Mexico's bid depth keeps swelling while the win prop slips a hair, money stepping in, but convictions not getting rewarded yet. That's like dominating possession with no shots on target. Eventually, the market starts pricing the wasted chances risk into the draw. Absolutely, Leo. When the pitch dries, it's like spreads, widening and depth thinning. Every pass costs more, and the game gets sticky. Favorites hate that because they can't accelerate through the lines, and suddenly the draw becomes the counter trade with momentum.
Unbelievable, wasn't it? On a pitch like that, you expect chaos, and they served up poetry. Sometimes the great teams don't fight the surface. They tame it like dancing on cobblestones and still making it look smooth.
Now we've got a real momentum shift. Mexico ticks up to euro 86, euro 87, and the draw bid depth collapses. Buyers are chasing the favorite while the hedge crowd steps back. South Africa Prince Euro. The 3 don't know 3, but with that thin bid, it's a lottery ticket with no secondary market.
Here they come again, wave after wave, and you can feel the defenders backing up step by step. One sharp pass and it's panic stations because this is starting to smell like a breakthrough. And just like that, it fizzles out, but the pressure is still hanging in the air like smoke after fireworks. We'll catch our breath at the break, but if this keeps up, the second half's got something's gonna give written all over it.
That little Mexico pop is losing steam, bid depth slips, and the sell wall thickens so it's more grind than breakout. Meanwhile, the draw depth refills fast. Like the market's quietly resetting its defensive shape in case Mexico can't finish.
Alvarado tries to switch it, but it's a bit loose, and the move loses its sparkle. That final touch just isn't convincing, like a guitar solo with one string out of tune, and the defenders will take that all day. Oh, he's clipped him there. Just enough contact to stop the run, and the crowd immediately wants a whistle. That's the kind of little jab that can boil temps. There's if the ref lets it slide.
Spot on, Leo. Elite keepers are basically risk managers. They don't guess, they narrow angles and force the lowest percentage shot. Under pressure, they stay liquid. No panic selling. Just one clean decision, and the market calms down. Draw liquidity just evaporated again. Bid depth down near 5.5K, so that's 0. 12 looks flimsy if anyone leans on it. Mexico stays pinned at 0. 86 borrowed 87 with lighter bids, which feels like a favorite. Tiring late, still ahead, but one wobble in the hedge. Trade wakes up. Yeah, Leo, a keeper like that is a central bank put. Suddenly, everyone stops pricing in chaos and starts leaning into this stays tight. Into halftime, it compresses volatility. Mexico's odds can't run away. And the draw gets that sneaky bid from believers.
From the longtime number one, ice in the veins, hands like magnets. He's reading it like a trader reading a chart. Cover the near, cover the far, and still get down in time. Williams is absolutely owning that goal mouth tonight. He's milking the crowd a bit, then straight back to business. Love that swagger from a keeper. One moment of theater, next moment he's barking orders and resetting the line like nothing happened.
Absolutely, he's hedging the deflection risk by staying set and letting the ball declare itself instead of overcommitting like a trader chasing a headline. That patience keeps his downside small, and it frustrates shooters into lower quality attempts.
Oof, that one flashes just wide, close enough to make the net ripple in your imagination. You can feel the stadium inhale, and the keeper's already barking no more of that because the danger is creeping closer.
We're seeing a little risk on creep back into the draw. Bid depth doubled off the lows, while Mexico's bid support keeps thinning and the ask stack rebuild. Yes, that's classic halftime nerves. Favorite still priced like a champ, but the crowd's buying insurance in case this turns into a yo-yo slog. Totally, he's trading like a mega cap with relentless buyback pressure. Every touch squeezes the defense. As liquidity and forces rushed clearances, even without a goal, that dominance keeps Mexico price rich because the next chance feels inevitable. Yeah, that's a failed breakout. Price tags the resistance. Can't clear it, and suddenly the shorts get a little braver. Near misses flip momentum fast because the underdog realizes they can survive the surge and counter.
33 and 31, those are striker numbers that make defenders check their life insurance. If he keeps sniffing around like this, South Africa can't keep dodging bullets forever. One of these is going to crash in off the post.
Mexico's still the heavy favorite at 86-87, but you can feel the market getting a bit twitchy. Draw ticks down to 11-12 with bid depth creeping up. That's traders buying a little nil-nil insurance, while the Mexico book stays supported, just not EUP. Horric.
That's a man arriving with a golden boot in a suitcase. Full of confidence, top scorer, hat trick to seal it. And you can see why Mexico keep feeding him. Every touch in the box feels like a matchstick near petrol. Absolutely, he's the funnel, the spark, the whole power. Grid for their attack right now. South Africa know it too, but knowing and stopping are two different sports when he's turning defenders, like a revolving door. Rains in the air, and suddenly the ball turns into a bar of soap out there. One skid, one misread bounce, and it's chaos in the penalty area. Keepers hate this, strikers lick their lips. Oh, that's sloppy. Gift wrapping possession in a dangerous zone, and you can feel the pressure spike instantly. If South Africa want to build, they've got to stop handing out freebies like it's a halftime raffle.
Now you're seeing Mexico's bid depth fade pretty sharply, while price stays pinned at 86-87. Looks like support is there, but it's getting thinner. Draw liquidity also cooled, so this feels like a pause in play. Nobody wants to overpay until the next big chance.
He steps in and hoovers it up in midfield, clean as you like, and suddenly the tempo flips. That's the kind of interception that turns defense into a counter before you've even blinked. Because you love that gritty midfield graft. The kind that doesn't make the highlights but wins. Matches. If he's your guy, you're backing the engine. Room, not the fireworks. Rainers, he's sniffing around like a striker who can smell a loose touch from a mile away. One slip on this wet surface and he'll pounce, and the defenders know it. They're playing with their shoulders up. Boudau's peeled out to that right back lane, giving them width and a clean outlet under pressure. If he times the overlap right, that corner coming later in the half. Those are the moments where matches get rewritten in a heartbeat. You can already see the big lads jostling like it is rush hour in the box waiting for one perfect delivery.
There's your first real wobble. Mexico slips a tick. Toemayev bum 8-6 and the draw spread widens, which screams uncertainty rather than conviction. It's like the favorite just miscontrolled a simple pass. It's still on top, but the market's leaning back in its chair. And just like that, Mexico snaps back to 0. 86-87 with bid depth jumping, buyers stepped in and defended the line. That's a classic favorite absorbs the counterpunch moment. The draw money's still there, but it's not driving the tape. Totally, this is like a stock trading at a rich multiple. Upside is capped because everyone's already long. But one bad headline and you get an air pocket. Mexico's price is the crowded trade and the equal ICER is your sudden volatility spike. Yep, it's that overbought favorite where the tape looks calm until the first red candle hits. With Mexico so top-heavy, an equalizer forces fast. Hedging into the draw and you get a sharp, messy replay. Icing pure scramble in the 6-yard box.
Memberbo winds up from distance. What a swing of the boot. He's trying to tear the net off from out there. And Kazi lurking like he fancies one too. Mexico can't switch off for a second here. Yeah, that one needed a passport and a prayer from nearly 40 yards out. Ambitious stuff. Sometimes you've got to buy a ticket, but Mexico will happily watch those fly over all day.
Mexico's still holding that 86-87 line, but the bid depth just cooled again. Support's there, it's just not getting thicker. That's late game legs. The favorite's ahead, yet one quick break and everyone scrambles to hedge into the draw. Yeah, this is the healthy pullback, then rip higher. I set up, Mexico shook out the weak hands, and now the bid's back in control. Momentum like that is the striker finding rhythm. Once the first one goes in, the market reprices fast. Absolutely. One keeper fumble is your volatility print. And then suddenly everyone reprices the sure thing, notch lower even if the trend's intact. If Mexico starts peppering shots, that's sustained. Buy pressure. If they get cute, you'll see the draw bid creep back in. Mexico's price is stuck at 94.95, but the tell is the bid depth draining fast. Confidence is there, just less appetite to chase. That's late game protect the lead positioning. Still favored, but one sloppy turnover and the draw suddenly gets paid attention. I'm going blue chip Mexico here. The market's pricing them like a dividend aristocrat at 95%, even with buyers getting a bit stingier on the bid. It's not a glamour trade, it's a don't concede trade. And that usually cashes unless chaos hits late. Totally, our job is to call the flow, not pick the winner for you. Like a market, price discovery belongs to the crowd. We just highlight the momentum and the risks as they show up. Vote your view and live with the tape. Yeah, that midfield tweak reads like a hedge, tight. In the center, reduce variance, protect the lead rather than chase extra upside. In market terms, they're rotating from high beta attacks into quality defense to see out the result. Mexico's still priced like a lock at 94.95, but look, at the tape, ask depth just collapsed while bid depth firmed. Someone's pulling offers and forcing a tighter market. That's momentum with a thin cushion, like a team seeing the finish line and suddenly playing not to make the one mistake. Yeah, that's classic protect the lead positioning. Adding structure and lowering volatility rather than chasing another goal. It's like trimming a hot winner into cash. You give up upside, but you're trying to stop a late equal. Eyes are from nuking the whole trade. Exactly. If you turtle too early, you invite pressure, and the spread widens against you. You press when the opponent's legs are gone and liquidity is there. Otherwise, you protect profit and keep your shape. No hero balls. I'm with that. When you've got momentum and the other side's scrambling, you press because the expected value is highest, but you still keep one holding mid back as your stop. Loss, because one counterattack can turn a great trade into a bad beat. Mexico's still pinned at 94.95%, but the draw book is screaming tail risk with that massive offer wall. Nobody wants to pay up for chaos. Feels like the crowd's long the favorite, yet they are keeping one eye on a late set piece equalizer. Fresh legs can be an undervalued asset late, like dry powder when everyone else is fully invested and tired. But if he's been underused, that can also mean low match rhythm, like a stock with no volume. One bad touch and it gaps on you. Not much budging. Mexico's still priced like a near lock at 94 or 95%, and the depth on that side says buyers are happy to defend the lead. The draw in South Africa books are basically locked. Terry ticket territory with huge offer walls, so any shock goal would be a pure momentum whipsaw. Yeah, that's the manager going all in like a fund concentrating. Into its highest conviction name, your upside is cohesion and conditioning. But you're also burning optionality and goodwill, and if results wobble, the backlash hits fast, like a crowded trade unwinding. Totally. Mexico's basically sacrificing near-term club P&L for a home soil World Cup payoff, a classic cap. X-bet with a huge headline upside. When federations flex, the market usually prices in more control and cohesion, but also a governance risk premium if clubs start pushing back. Now we're seeing a little hedging creep in. The draw ticks up to 6% and bid depth jumps like traders buying cheap insurance while the favorite still looks dominant. Mexico price hasn't moved, but that ballooning ask. Depth says supply is leaning in, so upside is capped. Unless something on the pitch forces a repricing. Yeah, it's a takeover bid. Centralized control now, hope. The synergy shows up when the lights are brightest. At home, the risk is you lose match sharpness and create a fragile locker room like signing a star who hasn't played in weeks and expecting instant chemistry. Bye. Exactly. Mexico's preloading the trade for home advantage. But if the thesis breaks, the opportunity cost screams. And that tighter officiating is a regulator shock. It compresses the set piece alpha, so pricing should tilt toward open play quality over dead ball chaos.
See, if you mean the Canadian broadcaster, they'd be loving this kind of tempo, proper end-to-end stuff that keeps you on the edge of the sofa. Or are you talking clear ball clear because someone needs to do that right now?
Mexico's priced like a heavy favorite at 93.94 cents. But the book's got a weird vibe. Tons of sell it, go at 99, walls across all outcomes like defenders parking. The bus and daring buyers to chase. Big money's already piled into Mexico around till 69 is 70, so upside from here is thin, and the real risk is a sudden wobble that hits that crowded long.
Oh, that's sloppy again from BC. Gutierrez's sniffs. Ing it out like a striker smells panic, and suddenly the whole move turns into a counter threat. You can feel the crowd tighten up every time that pass goes astray. Oh, I love that. Gallardo drifting in off the left like a pickpocket in a crowded street. Suddenly he's in that inside lane and the defense is checking mirrors. That's the modern game. Amo would call it diversification. I call it pure mischief.
Mexico just got marked up again, now 94.95 with bid depth. Still chunky and the ass side thinned out a lot. So buyers have the momentum and the tape feels won. Wait, but at these prices, you're basically paying for a clean win, so any late VAR moment swings the PNL fast.
65 on the clock and Mexico lead by 1. This is the danger zone now because one moment of chaos and it flips. You can feel Mexico trying to squeeze the air out of it, but the other side are winding up for a punch. Mexico 1, South Africa 0, still just a single go, all tightrope, and that's the most nervous lead in football. One set piece, one deflection, and suddenly the stadium changes temperature. 2 more changes. Here we go. Fresh legs and fresh ideas. And Luis Chavez is exactly the kind of switch that can either lock the door or pick the lock at the other end. This is where coaches try to win the chess match with a sprint.
Spot on, Leo. Subs here are like rotating into defense. With a narrow lead, it usually compresses volatility and keeps Mexico pinned high in the 90s. But if the changes break rhythm, that's when the draw price can spike like a counterattack off one sloppy touch.
Oh, listen to that roar. This is the moment the kid is coming on and the whole place leans forward like, it's story time. 17 years old at a World Cup. That's not a substitution. Yeah, that's a spark, and Mexico better be careful now. He's on, and you can see Mexico's backline instantly. Shuffle and tighten up. Nobody wants to be the defender in the highlight reel against a 17-year-old. That little bit of fear, it changes everything. It makes passes heavier and clearances uglier.
Now it's basically game over pricing. Mexico 98.99 with almost no offers, so liquidity's evaporated, and anyone chasing is paying a huge premium for the last few minutes. The only trade left is tail risk. One freak equal Iser, and that draw snaps from 1-2 cents like a stop. Age time header.
You called it. Sometimes football's simple. Give the crowd a reason to believe, and the pitch suddenly feels smaller for the team in front. Now Mexico have to manage the nerves because belief is contagious and it spreads fast. Absolutely, this is tailor-made for a fearless teenager. Space opening up, tired legs, and defenders thinking twice. He doesn't need to overthink it, just run at them and let the chaos do the talking. It's getting frantic now, one change after another, and suddenly there's fresh legs flying into every duel. You can feel the tempo spike, and the defenders are looking around like, wait, who am I marking now?
Totally, Leo. This kid's like a fresh IPO, the upside. Headline is huge, but the first bad touch can gap the price against you. With Mexico already near 99 cents, I'd rather respect the tail risk than pay up for the breakout narrative. Mexico's basically trading like a near-expired option. Still 98.99, but now you can actually see some size on the 199 offer, so the easy money is gone. At this stage, it's all about not getting caught by the one late set piece that turns a sure win into chaos.
Yeah, Lara's that kind of spark. One touch, one burst, and suddenly Mexico's whole attack looks dangerous. Again, if they're dreaming of a deep World Cup run, and they need someone who can flip a match on its head like that, he's got that something you can't coach, like the ball's on a string and the moment's never too big. And getting Ed and Al back in the mix, that's huge. Suddenly the spine looks sturdier and the confidence ticks up a notch.
Yeah, Leo, it's more interim CEO than a splashy new higher markets like continuity when you're protecting a lead. If Mirror keeps the structure tight, sentiment stays bid. One misread and you'll see that draw tick up fast.
He's grabbed that roll with both hands, hasn't he? Like he stamped his name on the team sheet. Whatever the manager asks, he's doing it again, and you can feel the others starting to lean on him. Oh, Algarado tried to bend it like a postcard into the top corner. Sweet idea, just needed a touch more. Bite, you love the ambition though. That's the kind of effort that makes the keeper's heart skip.
This is as full-time whistle as an order book gets. Mexico's bid at 99 with basically no offers, and the draw has no bid at all, so nobody's paying for drama anymore. When liquidity vanishes like this, it's pure confidence, until one freak moment reminds you why tail risk exists. Nothing's really moving. Mexico's pin date 0, 99 with 0 offers, so it's a one-way market in price. Discovery is basically over. The only trade left is buying a miracle on the draw. At a penny, like betting on a 95th minute bicycle kick.
That's it. Sometimes the crowd just needs one flash, one moment to light the fuse, and you could feel them begging for it. A World Cup stage doesn't forgive nerves, but it rewards bravery, and this place is ready to erupt. Jimenez is off and running, bursting through that gap like he's been shot out of a cannon. One touch too many and it closes, but right now you can smell danger every time he turns and drives. Not again. Another one of those moments where you think it's opening up and then it just slams shut. The frustration's creeping in, but keep knocking on that door and eventually it rattles. There he goes, timed the run beautifully, slicing into the box with real intent. One clean touch and it's chaos for the defenders. You can feel the stadium holding its breath right now. Oh, that's bread and butter. He'll nod that away all day. No sweat, but it's a warning sign too. Keep floating those in, and sooner or later, someone attacks it with real venom. You can see it in their body language. Heads up, tempo rising. They're starting to believe. The defenders are backing off a step, and that's when the game gets dangerous in a hurry.
Absolutely, Leo. Those raw moments are brand equity, being minted in real time. It's like a company nailing an earnings call and winning lifelong shareholders. The story travels farther than the result, and that momentum shows up later in sponsors, merch, and academy. Pull.
You can feel it in your chest. This is bigger than football. For him, and the tears say everything words can't. I'm with you. I couldn't be happier either. Moments like this are why we watch.
Mexico's bid depth just ballooned. Buyers are stacking the book at 0. 99 with no sellers, that's a full-on park the bus. Market, only wrinkle, that big Mexico whale trimmed from 690K to 640K, so someone's quietly taking chips off the table. Yep, Leo, this is momentum flipping into a risk-off. Tape. When the favorite looks shaky, everyone rush. Is the same exit and spreads blow out. It's less buy the dip and more protect the lead. Why, like a team suddenly defending corners for its life. Sit. Even with that Mexico look-rattled storyline, the market's still glued too. 99. Bid depth is firm and there's still no one brave enough to offer stock. But you can see the crowd hedging at the fringes. Draw and South Africa asks are thinning, like fans, quietly heading for the exits. That's the ultimate V-shaped recovery, Leo. When you have already stared at the downside, the pressure changes, and you play freer like a stock that's been through capitulation and suddenly finds real buyers. Resilience is volatility management in human form. And it's why comebacks feel inevitable in hindsight. But totally, Leo. This is a stock that got hit with a once-in-a-decade shock, flushed out the weak hands, then rebuilt on real fundamentals. When the comeback finally prints, it's not hype, it is conviction, and the crowd re-rates the whole story. Why? Yes, this is that breakout candle after a nasty draw down. Once the first goal hits, shorts scramble, liquidity vanishes, and price gaps higher fast. Momentum feeds on emotion here, but late chasers are basically buying the highlight reel.
Mexico are alive now. Listen to that roar. It's like the stadium just got plugged back into the mains. One spark, and suddenly the whole game's got a pulse again. This World Cup doesn't do quiet, does it?
Exactly. That roar is the market's risk-on switch. One clean move and suddenly everyone believes again. It's like a stock reclaiming a key level. Sidelined. Money piles in and the other side starts playing not to lose.
Absolutely, mate. This is why we watch, isn't it? One moment you're on the floor, next you're flying, and the whole country's singing like it's payday.
Nothing's really changed. Mexico is still pinned at 0.99 with 0 offers, so it's a one-way book and the price is basically a scoreboard, not a market. The only action is that bid depth easing a bit, which screams profit-taking risk if any surprise goal swings. Momentum. Yeah, Leo, it's marketing spend, but it's the smart kind, turning a commodity phone plan into a loyalty product with bragging rights. In a saturated market, experiences are like a late game goal. They don't win on price, they win on emotion and churn control. Fair take, Leo. This is smart spend if it's targeted at high-value subs and bundled perks, because retention is cheaper than chasing new signups. But if it's just broad hype, it's like spraying shots. From 30 yards, loud, expensive, and rarely on target. 8. Mexico's still locked at 99, but the tell is bid depth jumping to about 296. Buyers are stacking chips even with no offers showing. And that's pure game management pricing. Everyone expects the whistle, and the only real risk is a freak equalizer that nukes this thin tape.
I'd like the power to freeze time right as the striker pulls the trigger just to savor that heartbeat before the net ripples. And hey, Amo, that's the real investment, passion, turning into moments you can't put a price tag on.
Yep, big events are like a temporary rate cut for a city. Foot traffic spikes, hotels and bars print money, and small vendors get a real revenue pop. The catch is it's a short tournament window, so the lasting win is infrastructure and repeat tourism, not the one-off buzz. Absolutely, sponsorship dollars hit like a fast counter attack. They flow straight into local payrolls, suppliers, and foot traffic, so small businesses feel it first. Markets love it when that spend turns into repeat customers, not just a one-weekend sugar high. Right, Leo, grassroots spend is like building an academy. Slower payoff, but it creates loyal customers and steadier cash flow for local shops. For the sponsor, the ROI shows up in brand trust and lower churn, not just headline impressions. Fair framing, Leo. Real support is when the money shows up in measurable local sales, jobs, and repeat foot traffic, not just a logo on a banner. Glossy branding is a one-match highlight reel. Durable value is season ticket loyalty and long-term customer stickiness. Mexico bid depth just fattened again up to roughly 339K, so the crowd's still piling into the sure thing at 499. But with zero asks, this is a one-way book. A great until a late shock goal turns it into a slip and slide. Totally, brands have to play like a smart sponsor, not a new coach, fund the pitch, pay the refs, then stay out of the way. The market rewards enablement over ownership, because the second it feels scripted, the community sells the story. Yeah, Leo, that's a classic small cap breakout. Years of quiet community backing, then one catalyst moment, and everyone reprices the story overnight. Local businesses are the early liquidity providers, and when the upset hits, the power to do narrative turns into real momentum. Mexico's still priced like a tap in at €99, but notice the bid depth just slid to about $229. Some buyers are stepping back even with no asks. That's classic late game complacency risk. One weird bounce and the can't lose trade suddenly has no exit. Absolutely, Leo. When a sponsor barges in mid-flow, it's like a big fund slamming the order book. You get instant liquidity, but the vibe can gap down if it feels forced. The winners are the brands that provide water and let the game breathe, not ones trying to run the play book. Nothing's really budging. Mexico still pinned $80.99 with about 228K of bids, but it's thin for something. Priced is certain. That giant 01 bid stack is basically a safety net with holes. If momentum flips, it won't catch much.
10 men in the heavens have opened up. South Africa are wading through it now, and that red card has turned the pitch into quicksand. Every tackle's a gamble. Every long ball skids like a bar of soap. This is survival football, folks. Mexico smelling blood now. When you've got that kind of record, you play with swagger, like the first punch is already landed. But in this rain and with 10 men scrapping, one bounce can flip the whole script in a heartbeat. In openers, Mexico usually come out like a well-oiled machine, calm, sharp, no panic in the eyes. But this one's got chaos written all over it. Rain, a red card, and a crowd that can turn a whisper into a roar. Since '94, they've treated openers like a business trip. Get the points, pack the bags, move on. But that one loss you're hinting at is the warning. Label. Even the steadiest team can slip when the stage gets slippery.
Now we're seeing the tell. Mexico bid depth just dropped to about 177K while price stays glued at so. 99 confidence on the scoreboard, but fewer fans in the stands. That's when a tiny shock can cause a nasty air pocket, because there's basically no offer side liquidity to trade through. All good, Leo. That's a clean market correction. New information, quick repricing, and everyone pretends they always knew the bracket. Expectations reset fast, and the real edge goes to the folks who adjust positioning before the crowd catches up. Yep, that's like mislabeling the ticker. Same sport, a wrong contract, and the price action won't match your story. Once the bracket's corrected, expectations snap back, and the crowd rotates attention to the right game on the screen.
Yeah, that's a classic false promo, teasing the big showdown, and then the schedule hits you with the not yet. It's like winding up for a thunderbolt, and the ref blows for halftime. Exactly, you're sprinting into the moment, and the fixture list trips you up. Been there. But hey, that anticipation's fuel. When USA-Mexico finally lands, it'll feel like the bell at the end of a heavyweight round.
Mexico bid depth just popped back up to about 244K, so the 0.99 line is getting defended again, more like a team, parking the bus with extra bodies. But with no real offers showing it's still a one-way market, any surprise headline and you'll see a quick, ugly repricing.
It really is. Football's got that sneaky way of turning a little mix-up into extra hype. Hold on to it, because when the real matchup arrives, that false hope turns into pure electricity.
Exactly. Those gaps are like a market opening with a price void. Liquidity disappears and the next trade prints way offside. When you see that, it's momentum and nerves, not fundamentals. driving the move, perfect setup for a sudden swing. Bye.
Yeah, it's human. When the rhythm breaks, the mind tries to fill the gaps, and suddenly everything feels a bit jumpy. Take a breath, reset, and we'll catch the next spark when it flashes. Flags up. The party's over for now. You can feel the groan ripple through the attack, but that's a warning shot. The next run has to be timed like a Swiss watch. Yeah, it's late, and that's what stings because everyone is already halfway into the celebration. Those delayed flags are like a punchline after the joke, but the decision still bites just the same.
Totally. World Cups trade on pressure premiums. One mistake and the whole narrative reprices in seconds. Momentum becomes the crowd's earnings guidance, and teams either ride it like a hot streak or get whipsawed by expectations.
That wristband's the modern World Cup heartbeat. Buzzes, and suddenly everyone freezes like the market. On bad news, it's the ref's little lifeline to the booth, and you just know it can flip a moment in seconds.
Mexico's still pinned at you. 99, but that bid depth just slid from roughly 244K to 200K. Support's thinning even if the scoreline hasn't changed. When the book gets this one-sided with no offers, it's like a team up 3-0. Everyone relaxes, and that is when weird stuff happens fast. Nailed it. Think of it like an exchange volatility pause. One alert, liquidity vanishes, and everyone yanks orders while the official price gets recalculated. When play resumes, you often get a gap move because positioning was leaning the wrong way.
Exactly. If that tech pings the instant someone's toe off, the assistant doesn't need to play wait and see anymore. But you know, football, theory's clean, reality's messy, and the timing of that buzz could still spark a storm.
Absolutely. Speed tightens the spread on controversy, but it also amplifies any error into a flash crash of emotion. Fans react like retail on a headline candle. Instant conviction, then instant outrage if the replay decides. Reese.
Oh, absolutely. This is the kind of tournament where one touch, one run, one night under the lights turns a squad player into a national legend. You can feel it in the air. Careers get minted here. And the pressure's so thick you could spread it on toast.
Now Mexico's bid depth has reloaded hard, up to about 378K, so the crowd's backstacking the favorite like defenders parking the bus, but with no offers at 0. 99, it's a brittle tape. One surprise headline, and you can still get a nasty air pocket.
He's got another bite at it here. This is where heroes either grab the pen or watch someone else write the story. One more chance, one clean moment, and the whole stadium flips from nerves to noise. Imo's taking notes like it's earnings season. Love it, because right now every little detail matters. Ian, one tiny swing in momentum can pay dividends on the scoreboard in a heartbeat.
Oh, this is pure event risk. One whistle and the whole market reprices like an earnings surprise. The takers got all the pressure, but the keepers, the short seller. One save and you get a violent squeeze. The other way. Yep, instant penalty is a headline candle. Volatility. Spikes, spreads widen, and everyone hits market orders. On emotion. If fans trust the ref, it's a clean repricing. If they don't, it's a messy whipsaw with momentum, flipping on the rebound. That's a double shock. Penalty plus an injury timeout. Like a surprise rate hike and a liquidity freeze at the same time. Momentum swings hard because everyone's recalculating odds, and the pause lets nerves creep in before the trade gets executed. Absolutely. One whistle is a macro headline that ices everything in a second, and the player down is the circuit breaker that pauses the tape. That combo cranks volatility because traders and players start overthinking the next kick. Yeah, this is a volatility spike. Best teams don't chase the candle. They stick to process and manage the next 2 minutes. Psychologically, it's momentum whiplash. One side smells a rally, the other goes into capital preservation mode and just tries not to concede twice. Contentious calls are like a disputed CPI print. Half the crowd trades the headline, half fades it, and volatility feeds on the argument. The smart side keeps discipline and resets shape. The rattled side starts forcing passes like chasing losses. Totally a price discovery moment when the ref calls it instantly. That's like the market printing a decisive price before the debate catches up. Under pressure, speed signals conviction, but if the crowd thinks it's thin, you get a nasty volatility hangover either way. Yeah, that roar is like a meme stock chat room, pure sentiment trying to bully the price. The best refs, like the best traders, block out the noise and stick to the rulebook because once you flinch, the whole game reprices around you.
Absolutely, Amo, that's a market bunker job, the kind where the clock feels like it's running twice as fast for the chasers. But football's got that wicked deflection factor. One scrappy bounce and the whole no-ask story gets ripped up in seconds. He's judged it perfectly there, tucked in shoulder line, nothing dangling like a guilty arm in the breeze. The attacker's pleading, but that's clean body shape, and the ref's waving play on.
This book is basically a one-way street. Mexico's pinned at 99% with no offers, while draw in South Africa are just walls of asks. Nobody wants to catch that falling knife. The only real risk now is a sudden headline goal that forces a brutal repricing, like conceding on a counter when you're already celebrating.
Mark's nailed it for me. Natural shoulder, two lads genuinely attacking the ball, and the defenders just bracing, not swatting. Play on is the right call, and that yellow feels like the ref saying, enough of the theatrics, let's get on with it. Subasi's right in the thick of it now, isn't he? Every second touch feels like it's got a spark on it. You can sense he's trying to tilt the pitch, but he is also flirting with trouble if he's late into one. More challenge. Yeah, he's walking that tightrope now. Got a little lucky on the previous clash, and the referee's got his number. One more mistimed lunge, and that benefit of the doubt evaporates like water on hot turf. Exactly. If you're going into the book, make it count. Not some half-hearted nibble that just gifts them. A free kick! But he's got to be careful now because the next statement could turn into an early shower. You can feel the temperature rising in that South Africa shirt. Little shoves, late steps, heads turning to the ref instead of the ball. They've got to channel it into the next pass because frustration is how you concede something silly. Absolutely. This is the moment where a game slips through your fingers if you start chasing shadows. South Africa have to steady the heartbeat, keep their shape, and make the next 5 minutes theirs before it turns into chaos. Ah, that high elbow, nasty little flashpoint, and you know the officials hate seeing arms up around faces. If VAR's sniffing around, that could turn from play on to come have a look in a heartbeat.
We're seeing the garbage time book get even heavier. Draw in South Africa ask walls are growing, while Mexico stays locked at 0.99 with basically no liquidity on the other side. That's a match where everyone's already walking to the tunnel and the only trade left is ensuring against a freak late equalizer. Yeah, that's the classic volatility spike. One ugly incident and suddenly everyone reprices risk in real time. It's like a red card rumor hitting the tape. Momentum flips fast and the team that keeps discipline usually wins the next 5 minutes. Absolutely. This is stop-loss territory. One reckless challenge and you blow up a winning trade with a red card. The smart side de-risks, keeps shape, and lets the other team tilt themselves out of the match. Nailed it. One wild elbow is the fat finger trade that nukes liquidity and triggers forced selling. In these moments, the calm team becomes the market maker. Slow it down, draw the foul, and let panic do the damage. The market's even more Mexico or nothing now bid. Depth creeping up on Mexico while draws ask wall. Keeps stacking like defenders in the box. With spreads basically gone, upside is capped, and the only real trade is tail risk hedging against a chaos moment. Exactly. After a bad call, the worst move is revenge. Trading, you overcommit, lose shape, and the next punch lands. The pros reset, slow the tempo, protect the middle, and wait for the high probability counter. Totally. When the talent's stacked, the market prices it like a premium option. You pay up because one bursts can decide it. But momentum still matters. If they get frustrated, that blue chip starts trading, like a meme stock, wild swings, sloppy execution. Yeah, when those two accelerate, it's like a volatility spike. Everyone scrambles for protection at any price. So the hedge is compact shape and disciplined fouls in safe zones, basically buying insurance early instead of paying up after the breakout.
France with Mbappe leading the charge. That's a front line that makes defenders check their life insurance. At kickoff, if they click into gear, it's wave after wave. One mistake and you're picking the ball out of the net. Say.
Yeah, this is a classic risk-off flush, one bad sequence, and suddenly every holder hits the sell button at once. Momentum turns into a cascade, stops get triggered. Even Mexico's basically trying to find a bid while the crowd screams, "Get me out!" Mexico's still pinned at 99%, but notice the bid depth. Ticking higher, buyers are basically parking cash at 0.9 and daring the market to blink. Meanwhile, draw in South Africa are just massive ask, walls at pennies, so any shock goal is the only thing that can reprice this fast.
Mexico are stroking it about now. You can feel the belief rising with every pass. This is the calm before the storm. If they slip one through the lines, the crowd's going to erupt like a shaken soda can. Maine sniffing around, Quinones hovering. Mexico look like they've found a rhythm and they're daring the backline to blink. One sharp turn, one quick give and go, and suddenly it's panic stations in the box. Oof, Oken steps in and snaps that move like a twig. Perfect timing, no nonsense. That's the kind of tackle that flips the momentum and gets the crowd buzzing because now it's transition. Time and Mexico have to scramble. They've coughed it up again, sloppy, and you can hear the groan ripple through the stands. You can't keep handing out gifts like that at this level, because the next one might come with a goal attached. South Africa digging in, and Invokazi just flew in. With a challenge that screams, not today, that's the kind of cruncher that lifts a whole team. Suddenly, Mexico know they're in a real fight out there.
Absolutely, one hard challenge is like a surprise central bank headline. It snaps the tape and forces everyone to reprice risk in real time. A dangerous free kick is the set piece equivalent of a gap move. Suddenly, the sure thing feels a lot less sure. Mexico's still trading like a locked-in win 8-0. 99, but that bid depth just fattened up again. More late money piling into the favorite. The flip side is the draw, and South Africa books are basically one-way offer only. So if anything weird happens, liquidity vanishes and the move gets violent. Yeah, prime time is the Super Bowl of eyeballs. Bigger, reach, higher CPMs, and sponsors pay up when the crowd is loudest. If South Africa's getting a late push, that's like a mid-game momentum swing for brand value. More impressions, more leverage, more pricing power.
2 more changes for South Africa, fresh legs on the wing, and you can feel the intent to stretch this. Game wide, Apollo's coming on, could be that spark, that little gust of wind that turns a cautious match into a sprint. Here comes this, and Magopa too. There's a man with goals in his boots, even if it was in a different arena. South Africa looking for that injection of belief, like flipping the switch from survival to ambition. That's the cruel timing, isn't it, against Cameroon? You can't leave it till the lights are going out. They'll punish hesitation like a taxman on deadline day, and suddenly you're chasing shadows instead of points.
This book is screaming consensus trade. Mexico glued. 2.99 with bid stacking, while the draw in South Africa are just giant sell walls at a penny. That's great until it isn't. If the match throws a curveball, everyone runs for the same exit and the spread turns into a trapdoor.
It spills out to Elder, the skipper, steady head, big responsibility, and you want him hitting it like he is signing the team's paycheck. But the touch looks heavy, and that chance just raw, iggles away before it can bite.
Could be they're pointing at the eye on the board, like an info flag, basically the crowd asking what new data just hit the tape. In market terms, it's that moment everyone's scanning headlines to see if the odds should move.
Give him a huge round of applause. Captain's armband, captain's heart, and he's left everything out there. Even when it doesn't come off, you respect the nerve to keep demanding the ball under pressure. Like for like switch, and Jimenez makes way, fresh legs. You say, mission, keep the tempo snarling. This is the kind of change that can flip the momentum. In a heartbeat, if the new man hits the ground sprint, ying. And the reins backed off, suddenly the ball zips a bit truer and the footing feels less like ice. You can sense both sides thinking, right then, now we play, and the pace just ticks up a notch. Oh, that's off. Flag up in the air comes out of the moment like a punctured ball. Still, it's a warning shot. The line's being tested, and the defenders are living on a tightrope.
Mexico bid depth just jumped again. Now you've got real size leaning on now. 99, like a team parking the bus with a lead. But with draw in South Africa, still basically no bids. Any shot goal turns this into a liquidity scramble fast.
And he's making way for the South African. Fresh spark coming on, and you can feel the crowd leaning in. This is the kind of change that says we're not here to coast. It's a push for something decisive. You can see those white lines on the broadcast graphic and that little score line style marker showing how many subs they've got left. Handy because managers are basically playing chess at full sprint now. Every remaining change feels like a chip on the table.
Totally. When the bench is thin, you protect the downside. First, because one mistake is a red card for your whole portfolio. But if you're already trailing, you take a calculated swing. Small size, high impact, like a late set piece. Not a full field sprint.
It really is the kind of opening that makes a coach puff the chest out and think, yes, that's the plan on the pitch. Now, the trick is turning that early. Snap into something on the scoreboard before the legs and the subs run out.
We're still in that Mexico by default regime, 0. 99 bid, no offers, and the other 2 outcomes are basically a one-way sell queue. The tell is bid depth easing from the prior snapshot. Okay, so confidence isn't rising, it's just nobody wants to step in front of the favorite.
This place is a fortress for Mexico, thin air roaring. Stands, and it feels like the pitch is tilted their way. If you're going to get anything here, you've got to be brave, keep the ball, and silence the crowd with one cold-blooded moment. I hear you. Sometimes the words get lost because the stadium noise just swallows everything. Take a breath and hit me again, because whatever's coming next feels like it's right on the edge of something big.
Mexico bid depth pops back up, so the dip in conviction got bought, and the crowd's back to chanting the same song at 0.99. but it's still a one-sided pitch, no real two-way market, so any surprise moment and you'll see slippage like a defender on wet grass. Yeah, altitude's like a tailwind bull market, Mexico. Says legs look fresher and the price action gets sticky. South Africa's stop loss is going compact, slowing tempo and buying time with safe possessions. You're trying to cap downside and keep one set piece, chance alive.
It's that horrible feeling in the lungs. Mexico look like they're breathing champagne up here, while South Africa are gulping air like it's a last-minute clearance. And once the crowd smells blood, it can snowball. This could turn into a statement win.
Exactly. This feels like a breakout with no sell side liquidity, so the favorite just grinds higher and shorts get suffocated. South Africa's only real circuit breaker is a sudden catalyst, counterattack, or set piece. Otherwise, it's a slow bleed into the close. Now you're seeing the dead outcomes get even heavier. Draw and South Africa ask depth ballooning. Basically, a crowded exit with no buyers. Mexico's bid depth slips back down, so it's not fresh optimism. It's just the market pinned at 0.99 until a real shock hits.
Vasquez threads it infield and Mexico are purring again. One touch, two touch, suddenly the tempo spikes. South Africa have to squeeze that space right now, or this next wave is going to crash straight over them. He nearly slips it through, then spreads it wide. Mexico, stretching the pitch like a rubber band about to snap. You can feel the panic in the defending shape. One late step and it's curtains.
Mexico bid depth is leaking again, down to about 228. So the sure thing is getting a little less sponsored, even though the price is glued at 0. Meanwhile, draw asks lighten a touch, but it's still a blowout book. Everyone's selling the upset. Nobody is brave enough to bid it.
Oh, it's a party in the stands. Mexico City's bouncing. Like the whole place is on springs, and they've still got hours to celebrate after this. And Jimenez getting that roar, you can hear it in every touch. He's got the crowd in his pocket tonight. See. Faga steps in, and you can sense the crowd lean forward. Mexico are hunting, sniffing out that next opening. One clean pass here, and it's danger again. South Africa hanging on by their fingertips. So a change on that left flank, fresh legs coming on. And you can see the coach trying to plug the leak before it turns into a flood. But Mexico won't slow down. They'll test that newcomer immediately, like sharks, smelling a drop of blood.
We've got a little rebid in Mexico, depth back up around 251k, so someone's stepping in to defend that 0.99 line like a team protecting a one-goal lead. But South Africa's ask wall just got thicker, which screams capitulation. Everyone wants out, and there is still no natural buyer.
It really is. There's no hiding it out there. The momentum is wearing green like a badge. South Africa needs something, one tackle, one calm spell, because right now Mexico are dictating the rhythm, like a drummer in full flow. That's the big question. Who grabs the baton and leads the next wave? With this atmosphere, whoever starts up top has to be brave because the crowd will demand fireworks. From the first touch,
Mexico's support just softened again, bid depth back to roughly 226k, so it's still a 0.99 price, but the conviction underneath is thinning. A draw in South Africa remain pure no-bid territory, like a match where the underdog's fans have already left the stadium. Totally. Jonas right now is a momentum stock making new highs on every touch, and the crowd's basically the buy side chasing. But one whistle, one VAR check, and it's an instant trading halt. When play resumes, you either gap higher on confirmation or dump on disappointment.
and there's the whistle just as it was bubbling up. Again, the ref slams the brakes on it. You can feel the frustration, but credit to Morea. He's done the dirty work and forced the decision.
Yep, that's a headline shock. Volatility spikes, spreads widen, and the emotional money starts doing dumb things fast. Best response is like good risk management. Don't revenge trade, reset shape, and wait for the next clean setup to regain momentum. Absolutely feels like an overreaction candle. One event, sentiment flips, and suddenly everyone's trading the outrage instead of the game. The emotional hedge is leadership and structure. Captain, calms the book, keep discipline, and don't let one bad tick turn into a full-blown drawdown.
Yeah, it's that press again, like sharks smelling a wobble in the water. They've clocked the hesitation at the back and they're hunting in packs now. One sloppy touch and it's panic stations for South Africa.
Exactly. A press like that is a short squeeze on your decision-making, and panic touches are forced liquidations. Risk management is simplify the play, go direct, win second balls, and don't insist on cute build up when liquidity's gone. Mexico's basically priced like a sure thing now, 0.99 bid with a token 1. U0 offer, yet the bid depth has slid to about 156 koi. So the supporting volume is fading. Draw and South Africa are still ghost towns, just massive ask walls ATO. 99 like fans trying to sell tickets after the final. Whistle. Spot on. This is a squeeze where every passing lane gets margin called and one loose touch is a forced liquidation in your own third. Under that heat, the smart play is de-risk, clear lines, win territory, and live to reset the shape. Mexico's still pinned at a 99-100, but notice the bid depth keeps bleeding down to about 140k while the euro sell wall has thickened, so upside is capped and liquidity is getting one-sided. That's classic, everyone's on the same trade risk. Any surprise and there's no cushion underneath. Yeah, that's a glossy growth narrative meeting a brutal earnings call. Pressure exposes every weak touch. With two bodies down, you go capital preservation. Slow it, clear it, take the ugly foul if needed, and reset before this turns into a full-on capitulation. Exactly. Copying the big club build-out without the personnel is like levering into a hot trade without the balance sheet. The press is your margin clerk. When Alvarado goes down, you simplify, protect zones, and stop forcing passes that aren't in your toolkit. And nailed it. Your new listing just got halted, so you hedge by lowering exposure, tighten the shape, slow, tempo, and play percentage balls into safe channels. It's not pretty, but it stops one injury from turning into a cascade. Mexico's now literally trading at one. The one hell, market's pricing it like the final whistle. Already blue, and that's when complacency is most dangerous. With the draw and South Africa basically dead, any freak event is a flash crash risk because there is almost no real two-way price discovery.
Oh, you hate seeing that. Vegas barely warmed up, and he's already clutching at it. That's a nightmare for the bench. Alvarado takes a whack in the traffic, too, and suddenly South Africa's digging out of a hole with a shovel made of injuries. Absolutely, Amo, nothing kills a match's rhythm like a lad down on the turf. You just want them back on their feet. The crowd goes quiet, the tempo drops, and both teams are left holding their breath. It's brutal, isn't it? This is the stage every kid dreams of, and one twist can steal the spotlight in a heartbeat. You can feel the whole stadium wince because nobody wants a World Cup story to turn into a rehab diary.
Totally. One bad tackle and it's a blue chip asset impairment. Overnight, and suddenly club versus country looks like competing shareholders. That's why you see insurance, appearance clauses, and cautious minutes management protect the long-term contract value, not just tonight's headline.
Either way, we push on because the World Cup doesn't wait for anyone, and that's the cruel part of it. Here's hoping it's just a scare and the lad can shake it off because nobody wants this decided by the treatment table. That's what you cling to. He's okay, and suddenly the air comes back into the stadium. Now you want the next touch to be clean and confident, just to prove the body's still listening.
This book is a one-way street. Mexico pinned 81. Aro with thin offers, while draw and South Africa are basically abandoned. Pure blowout pricing. That's great until a late own goal headline hits, because with no bids on the other side, the unwind gets ugly fast.
Gonzalez in the chat, love it, my friend. You've picked a good seat for the drama. Now tell me, are you backing the underdogs tonight or riding with the favorites like it's a blue chip stock, eh? Chivas is a lovely shout. Proper football name. Sounds like a lad who'll crunch a tackle and then ping a 40-yard pass. If he's on the pitch, you just know something's about to happen. Yeah, probably is how football gets you. One moment, quiet, next moment, chaos. Keep your eyes peeled because these are the minutes where a single bounce can flip the whole story. Liga MX. Now you're talking. That league is pure fireworks with a side of madness. 1 minute you're cruising, next minute it's a counter. Attack like a market crash. Who are you watching, Che? Boss Club? Last 10 minutes, this is where legs go heavy and hearts go loud. Every clearance feels like a lottery ticket. Every corner's a mini final. Hold on to your seat because one moment of madness can decide it all.
Draw just went full no market, zero. Zular with basically zero real depth, so that outcome has been priced out like a team parking the bus at E5, zero. Mexico's still locked at 1. But that's a crowded victory lap where any surprise headline turns into a stampede.
3 shirts sliding across like a closing net. Someone smelled danger and they're not taking chances. That little check can turn into a steal and a break. In a heartbeat, keep your eyes on the next touch. So it's Alvarado who's taken the knock. Those challenges in the dying minutes sting twice as much. You just hope it's more winded than wounded because a stoppage now can totally freeze the rhythm and crank the tension.
Exactly. This is a binary headline risk, like an earnings call where one sentence wipes out the whole quarter. A card or penalty flips sentiment instantly. The leading side tightens up, the trailing side goes full press, and volatility spikes in a heartbeat. Yeah, that's the kind of tail risk that nukes a game. Plan. One red card is basically a margin call on your tactics. Even if it stays yellow, the team plays scared. as stops pressing and Mexico gets to run the clock, like a top seed protecting a lead. Absolutely, going down to 10 is an instant repricing event like a credit downgrade mid-session. The market shifts from maybe survive to protect capital. Mexico's odds gap wider and any counter attack becomes a low probability lottery ticket. Now Mexico's literally limit up with no offers. Everyone is leaning the same way and there's nothing to buy, just bids stacked. That's a momentum trade at full stretch. Great if the whistle stays quiet, but if anything flips, there is zero liquidity to catch you. Yep, this is the VAR gap risk, like a stock that closes calm and opens down 12% on a surprise headline. A straight red instantly reprices possession fatigue. Ian's scoring chances and the crowd psychology flips from confidence to panic in one whistle. We finally got a little supply 81. 0-0 on Mexico, but it's still basically a one-way book. Draw, and South Africa are dead with nothing on the bid. That's late game time wasting in market form. Everyone's already celebrating, and the only risk is a freak bounce with no exit. Totally, VAR is the trading halt, and when it reopens, you can get a brutal gap with no liquidity. If South Africa lose a man, the price of their comeback collapses and Mexico's pressure turns into a steady grind, like a team protecting a lead in stoppage time. That second red is a full-on market air pocket. Of course, relation goes to one in every South Africa position, gets forced liquidated. At that point, it's pure risk management. Park the bus, slow the tempo, and pray for a set piece because the price of hope just spiked. Down to 9 is a circuit breaker moment, like a stock hitting limit down where price discovery basically stops and survival is the only trade. The coach has to go full capital preservation, compact, shape, kill transitions, and accept ugly clearances as cash. Yeah, that's a cascading margin call. Each red forces the next mistake because legs and spacing disappear. Stabilizing now is triage. Slow the game, shrink the pitch, and treat every restart like a defensive earnings call. You just need to survive. Mexico's pinned 81. With bid depth doubling, this is pure blowout pricing. Like the crowd already leaving the stadium at 80 minutes. And the only real trade left is liquidity risk, draw. And South Africa are all offers, no bids, so if anything weird happens, you're trying to sprint on ice. Absolutely, this is a volatility shock, like a surprise rate hike. The whole game reprices instantly and the underdog spread blows out. To survive, you stop taking risk, run a low block, cash position, and hope one dead ball is your rebound. Trade. Yeah, that's a classic cascade. One shock hits, then positioning gets so stretched the next foul is basically forced selling. Momentum flips to one-way order flow, and South Africa, his only play is damage control and time wasting like it's a trading halt. Totally, under that noise, intent shows up in the follow-through. If the action keeps going after the ball's gone, that's not a hedge, that's a rage trade. Big crowds amplify it like leverage. One emotional tick and you're instantly offside with the ref. Yeah, that's not risk management, that's doubling down after you're already underwater, and it usually ends in liquidation. Once discipline breaks, you're basically trading on tilt, and Mexico just keeps recycling pressure like a blue chip grinding higher. Mexico's now a full lock 8-1. With literally no asks. This is a one-way tape, like the ref's already reaching for the final whistle. The draw in South Africa books are just ghost liquidity on the bid side, so anyone trying to fade this is basically shorting a runaway